Thyra, come here. Speak of the devil, Thyra snorted inwardly as she glanced outside the window. A small frown appeared on her face when she noticed that the sun wasn't out yet. Why is he calling me this early? She thought inwardly. Does he want to... Some indecent thoughts started appearing in her mind, and she shook her head repeatedly. No, no, no! I would rather die than do that, she screamed inside her mind. Miss One? Is everything okay? Thyra was then brought out of her reverie by 12's voice. She then glanced at everyone's faces and pouted a little. They failed to see that lovely expression that had appeared on her face since half of Thyra's face was covered with a mask. It's nothing. All right, we've been talking for too long. Everyone, return to your rooms. I still have some things to do, so I will take my leave, Thyra ordered. The other assassins then nodded and walked into their rooms. However, every one of them had lost expressions on their faces. They were still thinking about what 12 said before. Thyra then turned around and walked towards Nux's room. A few minutes later she appeared in front of Nux's room, and just as she was about to knock, the door was opened and Nux walked out while placing his finger on his mouth. "Shh, they're sleeping," he whispered. Since she was curious, Thyra peeked into the room and her eyes widened. "How are all 4 of them here?" she questioned. She didn't know why, but her voice was very low as well. It was as if Nux's presence affected her somehow. Why is he calling me this early? She thought inwardly. Was he there only Felberda before? Thyra questioned. There was... Wait, suddenly Nux narrowed his eyes. How did you know that Fel was the only one inside before? Nux questioned. Thyra's eyes widened in shock. She couldn't believe that she blundered like that. She was a failure as an assassin. She cursed herself inwardly. I just saw her entering a few hours back, Thyra muttered. Right, Nux nodded. Thyra sighed when she noticed that he had believed her. But do I feel like you're lying to me? She was too optimistic. I am not, Thyra answered weakly. She knew it would all be over once Nux uses that weird magic of his. All right, I will trust you, Nux nodded. You trust me? Thyra questioned. She was shocked. Well, yeah, I'm going to be your subordinate from now on. I think I should start trusting you a little. I mean, I can't keep using my magic, can I? Nux smiled. Thyra was taken aback by his smile. However, a cold smile then appeared on her face when she answered, Yes, you should trust me a little. Keep trusting me like this, and one day I will find a way to undo your weird magic and stab my dagger into your heart personally. A small smile appeared on Nux's face when he heard her. She likes to act tough, huh? He noted. He knew she wasn't being serious. There were several reasons behind it. First, and the most obvious, she didn't feel any pain. Second, if she was that serious about doing it, she wouldn't say that out loud and try to act more servant-like. Of course, everything might be her plan to make him lower his guard, but Nux believed that a situation like that wouldn't arrive. You wouldn't do that, would you? Oh, try me. All right, let's not talk about all this. Tell me, did you distribute the weapons I gave you? Thyra remained silent as she glanced at Nux with a blank look on her face. Did you call me here this early in the morning to ask this? Yes. Do you think I am free? Yes. Thyra was speechless, and the biggest problem is that she couldn't retort. She was free. Still, you can't... Shh, lower your voice. They're sleeping. Before Thyra could continue, Nux muttered, You can't call me here for something so stupid. Since you ordered me, I distributed all the weapons to my subordinates. Thyra lowered her voice. However, her frustration was clear in her tone. Why do you sound so angry? Nux questioned with an innocent look. Again, Thyra was speechless. This man was truly shameless. You could have called me a little later. Why does it have to be so early in the morning? Oh, that? I have some work to do in the afternoon, so I will be busy, Nux answered. Work? Yes, a very important work. You work? This time Nux turned silent. You work? I thought all you do was fucking women, Thyra muttered in shock. Exactly. No, I still have things to do. Thyra narrowed her eyes as she glanced at Nux. She felt something was wrong with how he was acting. However, she then shook her head. It's not of my problem. Thinking that, she glanced at Nux and muttered, All right, do whatever you want. I will take my leave since we're done. Saying that, Thyra turned away. However, wait! What is it? Thyra questioned, annoyed. I had another question. Ask. Did you give weapons to the assassins who are in Hardwick Mansion? Thyra was silent again. However, from the vein that had popped up on her head and how her body was trembling while she had formed a fist, Nux knew she was pissed. Ha ha ha, it's so fun teasing her, he thought inwardly amused. Thyra noticed the smirk on his face and realized that he was doing this intentionally. Her eyes then turned cold as she threatened. Mark my words, the day I find a way to overcome your weird magic will be the day you will breathe your last breath.
Knock, knock, knock. Enter. Concubine Allura ordered, and a maid walked into her room. Lady Allura, your clothes are cleaned. Shall I put them into your wardrobe? The maid questioned as she entered the room while dragging a table that had a few clothes on top of it. Allura nodded, and the maid walked towards the wardrobe. While the maid was doing everything, Allura watched her with bored eyes. The maid was used to such gaze, therefore she wasn't very affected and continued doing her job skillfully. After the maid was done with her work, she bowed. However, just as she was about to leave, Wait, Allura ordered. Yes, Lady Allura? I heard Rue broke up with her boyfriend, is that true? Allura questioned, and her eyes shined. She, as the concubine who was most interested in rumors, knew a lot and felt that this topic could get rid of her boredom for some while. Yes, Lady Allura, that is correct. The maid sighed. She knew what that look on Lady Allura's face meant. You are her best friend. You should know the inside details, correct? Allura questioned with bright eyes. Yes, Lady Allura, I do know a few things about it. The maid nodded. Then what are you waiting for? Tell me everything in detail. As you command, Lady Allura. So all of this started a month ago. Rue's boyfriend felt that the spark in their relationship had disappeared and he talked with Rue. Rue told me about it and I suggested her. The maid continued the story. However, in between, the excitement in Allura's eyes dimmed down. Yes, I do not want to hear such a long story. Tell me in short. No, wait, you might miss out on some interesting points that way. Just let me ask questions and you answer. As you command, Lady Allura. So, tell me, when did all of this start? A month ago, when Rue's boyfriend... Yes, a month ago is fine. Now let's get to the main question. Who started the fight? Allura questioned. Fight? The maid tilted her head in confusion. Yes, fight. They broke up, right? Who started the fight? Lady Allura, there was no fight. They just mutually decided that they should break up. Huh? There was no fight? Yes, things were pretty calm. The two of them are still talking to each other as friends. What the hell? Who told them to act so mature? How in the hell are they going to make that entertaining? Allura complained. We are not talking about a drama show. Why would they try to make it entertaining? Shouldn't you be happy that they moved on and no one is sad? The maid wanted to say that out loud, but remembering who she was talking to, she shook her head in defeat. Why do mature couples exist? Why are you even in a relationship if you are going to act that mature? Aren't relationships meant to torture people? Aren't they meant to entertain people other than the couple? Allura groaned. What a twisted way of thinking, the maid muttered inwardly. What a boring day, Allura then sighed as she glanced outside of her window. She then turned her head towards the maid and questioned with a small smile. So, how about you?
Are you in a relationship yet?" "Here we go again." The maid resigned to her fate and answered, "No, Lady Allura, I still haven't found someone for myself yet." "Huh? That's bad, isn't it? You're already 40 years old, Leanne. You should find a partner soon, or else you'll start aging and end up alone." The maid, Leanne, was a cultivator as well, so even though she was already more than 40 years old, she still kept her youthful appearance. "Yes, Lady Allura, I will try to find someone soon." "Come on, be honest with me. Your face is pretty decent. You should have a lot of people going after you, shouldn't they?" Allura questioned. "There are a few who seem to be interested in me, Lady Allura." "So why haven't you accepted any of them yet?" Allura questioned. She could smell the entertainment. "I did a background check on them and didn't like what I found out," the maid answered. Allura's eyes brightened in joy as she questioned, "What did you find out?" "They were going after other women as well." Allura stared at her blankly and questioned, "What did you expect? Do you want them to be loyal to you even though you haven't accepted them yet?" I don't, but since they proposed, shouldn't they at least wait for an answer?" the maid replied. "Huh? You got that wrong, Leanne. In this world, no one waits for anyone. They liked you, they proposed to you. If you stay unclear about your answer, they'll move on and propose to another woman. It's a race. They don't have the time to wait for a single woman." The maid stayed silent. She didn't think that what Lady Allura said would actually make sense. However, soon she narrowed her eyes and questioned, "But why are you telling me all of this, Lady Allura?" "Because I care about you. Because I want you to be in a relationship. Because I want you to find the love of your life. Because Allura continued. However, the maid already deduced the real reason. "She just wants something interesting around her, huh?" "Thank you for your advice, Lady Allura. I actually remembered that I still had some clothes to wash, so I will take my leave." Saying that, the maid stood up and left. Allura understood that she couldn't keep her for long and didn't stop her. It wasn't that interesting anyway. She then gazed out of her window again, and soon she heard another knock. Knock. Enter. A maid entered and bowed. "Lady Allura, your afternoon tea." "All right, keep it there," Allura nodded. She saw other cups on the maid's table. She knew that she was busy, so she didn't waste her time. She doesn't want an innocent servant to lose her job just because of her few minutes of entertainment. She then grabbed the cup as a young man's face appeared in her mind. "The afternoon tea, huh? If only I hadn't scared him away, I would be having this tea with him right now. That would have been interesting." She sighed. "Huh? Lady Allura, are you thinking about another man when you promised to drink tea with me this afternoon? Now that's not very nice, is it?"
"He? Lady Allura, are you thinking about another man when you promised to drink tea with me this afternoon? Now that's not very nice, is it?" Allura's eyes widened in disbelief when she heard a voice. She then turned around and saw a familiar young man standing with a small smile on his face. Why are you here?" Allura questioned in fright. "Huh? Aren't you the one who invited me in the first place?" Nux questioned with a frown. He couldn't understand the current situation. Why is she acting so surprised? Wasn't she the one who invited him? He was full of questions. Do you even know where this place is?" Allura questioned in rage. "The Royal Palace?" "Yes, the Royal Palace. This is the Royal Palace. And do you know who I am?" You really like boasting your identity, huh? You are Allura Skyfall, the 7th concubine of the King of the Skyfall Kingdom. Yes, I know that. You told me already." And Nux answered nonchalantly. You don't realize it at all." Allura panicked even more. "This man doesn't realize it at all." "Are you stupid? Think a little. This is the royal palace. I am the concubine of the king.
You are an unknown man who entered my room. Don't you understand what that means?" Allura questioned. She had completely lost her calm now. "Wait." Nux's eyes widened in realization. "You are a concubine. I am an unknown man in your room. An unknown man in King's concubine's room. If anyone finds out, yes, the two of us will be executed," Allura answered. "Then doesn't this mean that no one should know about it?" Nux questioned. "Of course, no one, not a single soul should know about it," Allura answered. She couldn't believe how slow this young boy in front of her was. "Then why are you shouting?" Nux questioned. This time, Allura turned silent. She couldn't believe she was acting so irrationally right now. "Lady Allura, is everything fine there?" As if on cue, Allura heard her protector's voice, and she panicked. "Lady Allura!" The protector who was standing outside panicked when he didn't hear any answer. He quickly slammed the door open and entered. Allura's eyes widened in horror. "This is not what it looks like." She tried to deny it, but wasn't able to come up with any logical explanation. "Lady Allura, are you all right? Why didn't you answer when I called you?" the protector questioned. Allura frowned. This wasn't the reaction she was expecting. She then turned around and noticed that the young man wasn't there anymore. Where did he go? She started looking around, and soon her eyes fell on Nux's face, which was out while his whole body was hiding under her bed. Allura felt that he was crazy since he was still smiling in this tense situation. However, she quickly realized that she doesn't have the time to think about all this. She quickly stepped in front of Nux's face, hiding it from the protector as she answered. That? I was about to answer, however, you entered too quickly, so I panicked a little." The protector narrowed his eyes. Lady Allura was acting a little unusual today. "Lady Allura, who was the man you were talking to before?" he questioned. "Huh? What man? Do you see anyone?" Allura questioned calmly. However, inwardly she was panicking. "Wasn't there a man you were talking to? I clearly heard you say, 'This is the royal palace. I am the concubine of the king. You are an unknown man who entered my room. Don't you understand what that means?' Your voice sounded a little fearful as well," the protector muttered. "Oh, what are you talking about, protector?" Allura acted ignorantly. She tried to hide everything behind a smile. However, the protector took that smile differently. He knew her personality. He knew how much she liked entertainment more than anyone else, and to what length she could go to entertain herself. It was he who was guarding her room. Anyone who enters and exits the room is always under his eyes, and he didn't see any man entering the room. This whole thing must be a farce arranged by Lady Allura in order to entertain herself. Tisk, tisk, just how far would you go for the sake of a few minutes of entertainment? The protector thought inwardly as he glanced at Allura and saw that weird smile on her face. "Huh, try all you want, but I can't hide that smile from my keen eyes. I won't be playing this game with you anymore," he snorted inwardly as he muttered, "Ah, Lady Allura, it must be my fault. I think my age is affecting me a little, and I'm starting to hear things. This has happened to me before as well. I'm sorry to disturb your rest, Lady Allura. I will take my leave now." Saying that, the protector quickly turned around and left. He didn't want to stay here for a minute longer. This woman was crazy. "Huh?" Allura remained silent, dumbfounded by how she got away. She had no clue that her bored personality saved her. No one knows what her reaction will be if she found out why she was saved. After the protector left, Nux came out and stood in front of Allura with a small smile on his face. "Why are you still smiling? Don't you know how dangerous this is?" Allura questioned. However, this time her voice was a lot lower than before. She had learned from her past mistakes. "I know how dangerous it is. We both will die if anyone finds out about it," Allura answered. "Then why are you smiling like that?" Allura questioned with a frown. Heh, it is a dangerous situation indeed, Nux admitted. However, is it not what makes it exciting? Allura questioned with a big smile. She let me go so easily? She must have pitied my old bones. She's not as heartless as I thought. Outside Allura's room, her protector thought inwardly and sighed. He still couldn't believe that she would go to such lengths just to entertain herself. The bored concubine indeed. However, isn't that what makes it exciting? Nux questioned with a big smile on his face. Seeing that crazed smile on his face, Allura's eyes widened. He's crazy, she thought inwardly. However, soon she noticed her beating heart. Her heart was beating like crazy. It was beating like never before. This situation was exhilarating, especially when her protector was here in the room. Although she was scared, once the protector left, a never-felt-before joy filled her body. This was fun, she thought inward, and a smile similar to Nux's smile appeared on her face as well. No. However, she soon shook her head repeatedly. She was not insane like this young man in front of her. She was not bored enough to risk her life. That's how I get rid of my boredom, Lady Allura. Life-threatening adventures. Right now, I'm inside a king's concubine's room. If a single person learns about it, I'm dead. Not you, we. Shh, Allura retorted out loud. However, since her voice was too loud, Nuxus placed his finger on his mouth and signaled her to be silent. If anyone finds out, we both die. I'm not crazy like you. Don't involve me in your games, Allura retorted. However, this time her voice was a lot lower than before. A small smile appeared on Nux's face. This was fun. Oh, come on. How come you were called the bored concubine? Don't tell me you weren't excited. You were, right? How many years has it been since you felt so much excitement? Can't you take a small risk like this? Or would you like to keep living as a bored concubine just because you were a little scared? Nux teased. Allura stayed silent. A small risk? That's fucking death! How is that a small risk? Is he out of his mind? She really wished she could hit that smiling face right now. However, it will cause a commotion for sure, and she didn't want that. All right, now where's my tea? Nux questioned. You want to drink tea? Allura questioned, and a few veins popped on her forehead. She was really holding back right now. Isn't that why you called me here? To have an afternoon tea with you? Nux questioned back. Allura took a deep breath. She was losing it right now. You... knuck. However, before she could say anything, she heard a knock. The door opened, and a maid walked in. Allura's body stiffened. Her heart started racing wildly. She turned her head mechanically, and a sigh escaped her mouth when she saw that the young man wasn't there. She glanced below, where Nux hid previously, and shook her head when she saw the excited smile on his face. To be honest, she was feeling excited as well. The excitement she has never felt before. But she wouldn't say that out loud. Why are you here? Your afternoon tea, Lady Allura, the maid answered. A frown appeared on Allura's face when she heard her. Then she pointed at her hand, and the maid's eyes widened. I'm sorry about that, Lady Allura. There must have been an error in our calculations today. I deeply apologize for this mistake. The maid bowed. All right, no problem. I actually wanted to drink a little more, so it's all fine. Leave a cup there. Allura pointed at the table and ordered. Yes, Lady Allura. The maid then placed a cup on the table, filled it with tea, and left. Nux then came out and looked at the teacup on the table. His small smile appeared on his face. Heh, to think you had already ordered a cup for me, Lady Allura. You are really shy. You could have told me that you were looking forward to this afternoon tea. That little gesture could have made my day, you know. Not that drinking with you hasn't already made my day, Nux muttered, as he picked up the cup and started drinking. Can't you hear? It was a mistake. I didn't order anything. I was not looking forward to anything, Allura retorted. Shh! Nux gestured to be silent again, and Allura lowered her head as she looked around cautiously. A big smile appeared on Nux's face. As for the tea, he already knew that she didn't order it, because it was him who ordered it. The error in the calculations was done by Etta, the head maid. A shameless move indeed. Lady Allura, won't you ask me to sit? Nux questioned as he pointed at the chair. Allura sighed in defeat. What a luck this bastard has. However, she didn't reject him. From the moment he entered her room, and still didn't know how he did it without alerting her two protectors, there has never been a single moment where she wasn't excited. This was thrilling. Drinking tea with a man that the king doesn't know about inside the royal palace. This was fun. I'm becoming like him, Allura groaned. The two of them then sat down on the chair, and Allura finally regained her calm. She realized that she was being too passive today. She needed to start the conversation this time. This was the only way for her to take the lead. Oh, by the way, why did you leave so quickly yesterday? The way you left, I thought you were scared of me, she questioned with a small chuckle. That. I was a little shocked when I learned your identity, so I needed a little time to prepare for our meeting, Nux answered. Actually, he did that so he could see her surprised face today, and it was totally worth it. Oh, what did you prepare? Knuck, knuck. Allura wanted to ask. However, someone knocked on the door again, and her face, which had barely regained its original color, paled again. Knock, knock. A knock was heard, and Allura's face, which had barely regained the original color, paled again. The door opened, and a familiar woman walked in. Etta, why are you here? Allura questioned as she stood up in surprise. She turned around a little, and although she was sure he would hide, she sighed in relief when she didn't see him. He's quick, Allura thought inwardly. Is he used to this? Allura began thinking. How many times has he done this before? Wait, how many women has he been with before? Lady Allura. Allura was then brought out of her thoughts by Etta's voice. She then shook her head to get rid of these thoughts as she turned toward Etta and questioned. Etta, why are you here? Aren't you busy right now? Allura questioned. I am on a break right now, Lady Allura. I am actually here to share something with you. What is it? Allura questioned. It is about my boyfriend. I don't have anyone to talk to, so I thought I would talk with you, Etta muttered. If this was any other time, Allura's eyes would be shining brightly, but today she wanted nothing more but to be left alone. She was even willing to be bored for the next 3 days. That was how scared she was. However, she couldn't deny Etta's request, or else the girl would be suspicious of her. She then grabbed Etta's hand excitedly, but just as she was about to walk towards the chair, Etta pulled her towards the bed, where Nux was. Allura's face paled, however everything happened too quickly, and she couldn't react. A royal concubine was now sitting in her own room with the head maid of the palace, while an unknown man was hiding under the bed they were sitting on. How exciting, right? Did something happen between you? Allura questioned. No, nothing happened. Then why are you here? My boyfriend is very handsome, Etta muttered. Oh, you aren't flexing in front of me, are you? Huh? Oh, no. Although my boyfriend is a lot more handsome than the king, no, I am not flexing, Lady Allura. What I am saying is that my boyfriend is too handsome. Isn't that a good thing? Why do you look so confused? Shouldn't you be happy? Allura questioned. Well, I am happy, but there are too many women around my boyfriend, Etta muttered. Oh, so you were saying that you were jealous. Do you want your boyfriend all to yourself? Why don't you lock him up inside a room? Allura suggested. The topic was getting interesting, and as someone who craves anything interesting, Allura was getting into the topic. She was so excited that she even forgot about the man under her bed. However, would Nux let that happen? He was here to see her panicked expression. How could he allow her to gain an edge over him? Heh! A small smile appeared on Nux's face. He then touched Allura's leg to call her. Allura's body stiffened. She lowered her gaze, and Nux moved his mouth. I need the tea. Allura's eyes widened in shock. Are you Lady Allura, what happened? Where are you looking at? Allura questioned. Allura's body stiffened. She turned around and laughed awkwardly. Ha, 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 ha. Nothing. I thought there was a mouse there, Allura muttered. A mouse under your bed? That's unhealthy, Lady Allura. Wait, let me see. Etta stood up. No, it isn't required. It will go away. Lady Allura, it won't go away like this. You don't have to worry. I'll deal with it, Etta persuaded, before she fell to her knees and peeked under the bed. Allura's eyes widened in horror, and her body started trembling. It's over. We're dead. She closed her eyes. Lady Allura, there's no mouse here. Suddenly she heard Etta's voice, and her eyes opened. She turned around and saw Nux standing in front of the table, holding the cup of tea in his hand with a small smile on his face. Nux then walked forward and, pa! He spanked Etta's butt, and Allura's heart skipped a beat. Lady Allura, what are you doing? Etta questioned as she stood up. There was a bug on your butt, Allura muttered. She really wanted to kill that vile man now. Was he asking to die? And why is he dragging her with him? Oh, Etta muttered. However, her eyes narrowed in suspicion. Allura noticed that suspicion and quickly changed the topic. Have you considered leaving your boyfriend? He might realize your worth and would stop chasing other women after that. No, I can't leave him, Etta muttered. Why? He is very good in bed, Etta answered, and Allura's face turned red. What? Allura stuttered. He is very good in... I heard that. You don't have to repeat it, Allura retorted. Then she lowered her voice and she questioned, How good is he? She just couldn't control herself. She had to ask it. This time, Etta's face turned red. He pounds very hard, and I make moan like crazy. We do it for hours, and I always lose myself in the bed. It's very blissful, Etta whispered with a deep blush. Allura's face turned red like a tomato, and she questioned, You go on for hours? Etta nodded. How perverted, Allura muttered, as her eyes turned misty. She completely forgot about Nux, who was hiding under her bed. However, Nux wasn't mad about it. What man would be mad when his woman is boasting about how good he is in the bed? He would not. Also, Allura needs to learn how good her future partner is. Nux nodded himself and continued listening. However, soon his eyes widened as Allura asked something he never thought he would ask. How big is he? Lady Allura, I don't think I was able to talk to you about the correct topic, but I did enjoy our conversation. I feel like I got to know you better, Etta muttered with a slight blush on her face. This will remain between us. I can trust you, right? Allura questioned. Her face was completely red right now. She never expected that the talks like that were so exciting. However, she knew she couldn't talk like that with just anybody. You can trust me, Lady Allura. Not even a soul would know what we talked about here, Etta nodded. Good. Allura nodded as well. The two of them have indeed gotten a lot closer than before. "I'll take my leave now, Lady Allura," Etta muttered as she stood up. Allura stood up as well and walked her to the door, something she has never done before. "Let's talk again, Lady Allura," Etta muttered with a small smile. Allura's blush deepened and she nodded. Etta then left the room and Allura sighed in relief. However, as soon as she turned around, her body stiffened. "I didn't know Lady Allura had such a side to her. That was so indecent. I believe that rather than calling you the bored concubine, they should call you the perverted concubine," Nux teased. "Forget what you saw today," Allura ordered. Her face was as red as a tomato. However, she still tried to keep a straight, strict face. "Hey? Why would I? That was such a beautiful sight to behold." Before Nux could even finish, a sword appeared in Allura's hand. She rushed towards him and attacked. Nux, of course, defended it very easily. Allura was at the same level as him. Plus, she never trained seriously. She was akin to a child in front of Nux. She was no threat at all. "You know that I am stronger than you, right?" Nux questioned playfully. Allura did not stop her attack and continued swinging her swords. "You might be stronger than me, but are you stronger than my protectors?" "I am not. However, do you really want your protectors to see me in your room?" Nux questioned, and Allura paused her attacks. How is she going to explain how he got here? Allura's sword disappeared. She then glanced at Nux and muttered, "Forget what happened." Her tone was a lot tamer than before. "Why, though?" Nux questioned. "I'll die if you don't." "Huh? But won't that only happen if someone else found out about it?" Nux questioned. A frown appeared on Allura's face when she heard him. "But didn't you—" "I never said I would tell what happened here to others. You—" However, Nux then walked close to Allura. She moved back, but Nux followed. This continued until a few seconds later, Allura's back was against the wall. Nux then moved his face closer to her and smiled. "However, I will never forget what I saw today. In fact, I would burn it in my eyes. Your red face is just too cute." Allura's face turned even redder. "You bast— Look at the time. It's been so long." Before Allura could complete, Nux muttered as he glanced outside the window. He then turned towards Allura and muttered, "Lady Allura, it's late. I should take my leave now." "You are leaving?" Allura questioned. "Well, you only invited me for tea, which I drank while I watched you and the head maid talk about indecent things," Nux muttered, and Allura lowered her gaze in embarrassment. Nux smiled inwardly. Allura Skyfall was cuter than he imagined. "Even if I do extend the tea time to an hour, it is already beyond that, so I believe it is time for me to leave," Nux muttered. "Oh," Allura nodded. She looked a little— sad? "Why do you look so sad, Lady Allura? It's not like this is our last meeting. We are meeting tomorrow again, right?" "Huh? Why would I be sad? I'm actually happy that you are leaving. Also, why would we meet again?" "Because you are bored?" "Huh? What does that have to be with meeting you again?" "Wasn't meeting me fun? Hasn't your heart been beating like crazy ever since I entered this room?" Allura turned silent. No matter how scary and risky all of this was, it was fun. However, no matter how bored, she didn't think it was appropriate for her to meet another man like this. "So, where are we meeting tomorrow? In your room again?" No, we can't meet here. We'll die. I'm not crazy like you. I'm not ready to die yet." Allura shook her head repeatedly. She was panicking. "So, where should we meet?" "We can't meet in public. We just met a day ago," Allura muttered. "Then how about this? You book a room in the Crown Plaza, I'll sneak inside just like I snuck in here, and we'll have our lunch together. How does that sound? It's a lot safer than before, isn't it?" Nux proposed. "It is safe, indeed," Allura muttered. "Yes, this is fine. I will book the room tomorrow." She then nodded in agreement. Nux's smile widened. He then walked towards the window and muttered, "Then don't forget about it, Lady Allura." Nux chuckled lightly and then jumped out of the window. Wait, why did I agree? After Nux left, Allura questioned herself. How does that sound? It's a lot safer than before, isn't it? Nux's words sounded in her head, and her eyes widened. I just agreed because it sounded safe. I didn't think it through. I shouldn't go. Allura was panicking. Should I disagree? But I don't know where he lives. I can't inform him. Wait, should I just not go? Allura muttered to herself. However, she quickly shook her head. I can't do that. That idiot might sneak in here again. I can't take that risk. All right, I have decided. I will go and meet him tomorrow. However, this will be the last time. An awkward silence fell in the room. I hope that you were ordered to do it, else things might not end well for you, Thyra muttered in a dry voice as she glanced at Alger. Gulp! Seeing the half-dead look in her eyes, Alger gulped. As I said before, I have no interest in calling you again and again. I was ordered, he muttered. Thyra clenched her fists. So what does he want now? She questioned. She was really getting tired of this game. Alger stayed silent. He did not want to say what he was about to say at all. Hey, I asked something. Alger did not reply. Thyra stayed silent and waited patiently. Alger still didn't reply. The poor man was just digging his grave at this point. Say something, Thyra roared in anger. He asked if you have distributed the weapons to the assassins that are in Hardwick Mansion, Alger questioned in hurry. From his expression, he looked like he was ready to die. Huh? Didn't he ask me this in the morning? Thyra muttered. He predicted that you would say something like this. He says that you did not clarify your answer in the morning and were too busy threatening him. Therefore, he is still not clear and wants me to learn about the situation. That is what he said. I have not made anything up. Alger was quick to add when he noticed a vein that had popped out on Thyra's head. Thyra's body trembled in anger and frustration. Then she glanced at Alger and a cold smile appeared on her face. Alger's face turned pale and his heartbeat quickened. It seems that his clarification did not work. Thyra then walked towards Alger with a smile on her face. The closer she walked, the wider her smile got. The scene was quite scary, honestly. Alger closed his eyes. He had accepted his fate. A few minutes later, Thyra walked out of Alger's room and closed the door with a loud bam. She was really annoyed. However, after taking her anger on Alger, she felt a little better. She always wanted to do something like this. However, since Alger was a noble and a useful pawn for the kingdom, she couldn't do it. However, now Alger is as good as useless. Therefore, she could also act a little unrestrained. Now, if you put it that way, Nux taking them all over was a good thing. As she thought up to this point, Thyra began shaking her head continuously. What are you thinking, Thyra? Isn't that bastard Nux the main reason for all your frustrations? Alger is nothing but an idiot who is forced to follow his orders. Thyra stopped inwardly. If Alger, who was lying in his room with a bruised face, had heard her thoughts, he wouldn't know if he should cry or be happy. However, Thyra didn't care about what he does. She continued walking and... Sigh. Her luck was bad indeed. She was correct. She indeed heard the thing she did not want to hear at all. Her little sister started twitching again, and she paused. Her feet then turned towards the source of the voice. This is just for investigation purposes. She steeled her heart and walked towards Nux's room. Yes, she was not lying. Okay? Thyra, come to the garden. The next day, in the morning, Nux ordered. Thyra, who was busy talking with other assassins, paused when she heard Nux's voice. This was getting really, really repetitive. She took a deep breath, stood up, and muttered, I need to go. Yes, Miss 112 and the other assassins nodded. Thyra then glanced outside of the window and noticed the sun wasn't up yet. "Ha, he needs to work this afternoon as well?" she snorted inwardly as she walked towards the garden. A few minutes later, she arrived in the garden and saw Nux wearing skin-tight assassin clothes, similar to the ones he wore when he met her the first time. He was sitting on the grass, and once his gaze fell on her, a small smile appeared on his face, and he stood up and walked towards her. "I wanted to talk to you." Suddenly, Thyra pointed at Nux and shouted, "I know it's you!" "Huh? Of course it's me. What the hell are you talking about?" Nux questioned as he furrowed his brows. "Don't act innocent. I know that you prearranged this all. You know that I peek at you guys in the night, don't you? No, it's better to say that you manipulate me to peek at you, didn't you?" Thyra questioned. "How did you notice?" Nux questioned with a smile. Although he was surprised by her sudden discovery, he didn't think too much about it and decided to come clean and use it to his advantage. "Humph! I'm not an idiot. Although you act carefree, I know that you are pretty cautious about things. Someone as cautious as you may overlook things one time. The second time is acceptable as well. However, if you miss things the third time, something is wrong. Once I thought of that, everything was clearer. You make Alger call me for some random, idiotic reasons, and every time I'm about to return to my room, I hear a moan. I walk towards the door, and conveniently enough, you and your partner move closer to the wall that is right beside the door that I'm looking from, giving me a perfect look. Coincidental, right? No, it's not. You planned this all. I know it. I'm sure of it. However, I still don't understand one thing." Thyra then walked towards Nux and narrowed her eyes. "Why are you doing this all? What is your motive? Is this related to another weird magic of yours, or do you perhaps have a weird fetish?" Thyra questioned. Nux's lips twitched when he heard her last question. This woman really knows how to get onto his nerves. However, he knew he shouldn't lose his calm. He is a calm, patient, and handsome man. He shouldn't act like a brute. A small smile appeared on Nux's face. "Ha! You're a pervert!"
You are a pervert. What do you mean?
Why are you acting so innocent?
I prearranged everything. Yes, I did.
However, did I force you to come and watch?
For the first time, I understand that you are curious about where the voice came from and you came to check. I can also understand that you stayed there for a while since it piqued your curiosity. Let's stretch the reason and say that on the second day you wanted to make sure you didn't hear anything wrong. I can understand that to some extent as well. But then, what about the third day? Now you were sure what was happening, then why did you come close to my room? When you knew what we were doing, then why did you peek at us again? You told me that I was manipulating you. However, isn't that the opposite? Weren't you the one who got manipulated because you... Nux then walked close to Thyra and muttered with a smile, "Because you are a pervert." Thyra stepped back a little as she created some distance between them. She then glanced at Nux with her eyes boiling in anger and retorted, "I am not a pervert." "Then why were you peeking at me?" "I was just curious," Thyra answered. "Oh?" Nux's smile widened. "Curious about what, exactly?" he questioned. He was enjoying this. "That's for sure." "I was curious about... Curious about sex?" Nux questioned as he started walking towards Thyra slowly. Thyra did not step back, however, seeing that Nux was walking toward her, she continued stepping back to maintain the distance. However, she seemed to be out of luck as her back touched the wall. She looked back, and just as she turned back to face Nux, he was already in front of her, with his right hand on the wall, while his handsome face was extremely close to hers. For some reason, Thyra's heart started beating loudly, and before she could understand the situation, Nux questioned again, "Were you curious about sex?" This time, since he was so close to him, Thyra couldn't avoid him anymore and nodded lightly. Nux found this tamed Thyra very cute.
His smile widened even more, and he continued asking questions in a gentle tone. However, were you curious how my rod slams my women's insides? Were you curious why my women moan so loudly? Were you curious how good it feels? However, the content of his questions was anything but gentle. The more questions he asked, the redder Thyra's face got. Nux then finally removed her mask, revealing her beautiful face as he brought his face closer to hers and whispered, "Would you like to try and see everything yourself?" At the same time, his left hand traveled all the way down to Thyra's vagina, and just as his fingers touched her little sister, Thyra's body trembled uncontrollably. Her heartbeat quickened even more, her judgment clouded, and her face turned as red as a tomato. She was completely ensnared by Nux's sudden move, and just as she was about to say something, "What are you two doing?" Three's shocked voice was heard as Nux and Thyra turned around in surprise. "Two? Three? Why are you here?" Thyra questioned. "Master Nux summoned us," Two answered. Thyra then turned towards Nux, and seeing the frustrated look on his face, she frowned. "I shouldn't have called them," Nux muttered with a scowl. Thyra, who heard him, lowered her head in embarrassment. She then quickly brought out another mask from her storage ring and covered her face. "Why did you call us here?" Two questioned. For some reason, he had a feeling that he had interrupted something very important, and this will come to bite his ass in the future. Three, on the other hand, had a blush on her face. Although she was an assassin, she wasn't clueless. She knew what they were doing and found it very exciting and thrilling. Nux then took a deep breath. He didn't expect that he would make a move on Thyra today. Actually, it was a mistake in his calculations. He didn't think Thyra would address him so soon. He was prepared to let her peek at him for the next whole week. He was just worried about what excuses he would use to make Alger summon her, but that problem was solved as well. Good excuses weren't needed. He just needs to call order. The one facing Thyra would be Alger, not him. Of course, all of that went to dust now since Thyra confronted him way too early. However, a smile appeared on his face when he thought about the results. He then turned towards Thyra, and seeing her expressionless face under the mask, he smiled. He was content with whatever happened. "Tonight," he thought inwardly as his smile widened. Thyra, whom noticed his smile, snorted, and then she questioned, "What did you call us here for?" Nux shook his head when he saw her attitude. He then turned towards 2 and 3 before turning back to Thyra and then muttered, "I want you to fight me." "Huh?" Thyra, 2, and 3 had the same reaction. Nux understood what they were thinking and shook his head. "Let me correct myself. I want you all to spar with me." "Master Nux, you want to spar with 3 Grand Master Assassins at the same time?" Two couldn't help but question. "Yes, I do," Nux nodded with a solemn look. Don't treat us like that waste Heath. We are different. People like Heath never train. They just cultivate, and they don't know anything about fighting. However, we are different. I suggest that you do not take us lightly," Thyra muttered with a cold look on her face. "I defeated 3, remember?" Nux smiled as he glanced at 3. "That was because of that weird magic of yours," 3 retorted. And as if he remembered something, Nux muttered, "Ah, yes, I won't use my weird magic as well, so you don't have to worry. Come, let's spar."
I don't believe it. What the hell? How is he doing it? Is he really a master stage cultivator? As expected of my Nux, he is strong indeed. Everyone then turned towards Felberta, and Etta couldn't help but question, "Sister Felberta, do you know how he's doing it?" Felberta then turned towards Etta and shook her head. "Of course not. How would I know that?" Then why are you acting like you already expect it?" Etta questioned. "Because it's Nux," Felberta replied as she tilted her head. It was as if she was saying something obvious.
Ah, Lane, who was standing beside Etta and Felberta, nodded. It is Nux. That's a good reason. Skyla nodded as well. Etta glanced at Felberta, Skyla, and Lane in shock. What kind of reason is that? Why aren't you all surprised? A master stage cultivator is fighting against 3 grandmaster stage assassins. Isn't that weird? Etta questioned as she glanced at Nux, who was sparring against 3 grandmaster stage assassins. Seeing her shocked look, Felberta sighed. She remembered how she used to be shocked as well. This shows the seniority. I know him better than you do. A small smile appeared on her face as she thought about it. This is not very surprising, Sister Etta, Lane muttered. Why? The master stage cultivator you are talking about was a mortal 2 months ago, Skyla revealed, and Etta, who was hearing this for the first time, started questioning her life. Wait, wasn't Sister Felberta a mortal as well? How are you a master stage cultivator now? Etta questioned. She really doesn't know, huh? Felberta muttered. She was really enjoying this feeling. It made her feel superior. However, she still thought that Etta should act more elegantly. Why is she acting so surprised? She should just accept it as she does. Don't let anything disturb you. Act and think calmly. That is how an elegant person should act. Just accept it. Nux was a monster. How difficult is that? Inexperienced indeed, Felberta nodded to herself as she straightened her back. All right, don't worry. We will tell you everything about it tonight. Felberta then nodded. No matter how good it felt, it was better for everyone if they stay on the same page. Etta nodded. She wasn't in hurry either. She was more interested in Nux's fight. The assassins were quick with their attacks, and their teamwork was amazing as well. Actually, Nux was facing many difficulties when he was fighting them. However, since all of them were using wooden weapons, there was no risk of heavy injury. Thyra rushed towards Nux with a dagger in her hand. Nux jumped back to create some distance. However, as if she already knew he would do that, 3 was standing where he was going to land, waiting for him with a big smile on her face. They are really good, Nux thought inwardly, and suddenly something similar to a shield made from something like stone appeared in front of him. He stepped on the shield, and 3, who was waiting for Nux to jump down, widened her eyes when she saw a big shield appearing right in front of her. She activated her wind dash and moved back. Bam! The stone shield then fell to the ground. Nux, who was standing on it, smiled at 3 before he moved his hand and a wave of fire appeared in front of him. He waved his hand elegantly, and as if controlled by him, the fire wave in front of him organized itself and fire slash. He attacked 2 who was rushing towards him. Tornado! 2 used his own technique, and a small tornado formed in front of him. The fire faded away. 2 then activated Wind Dash and attacked Nux. Tack! Hey, you are good! Nux smiled as he blocked his attack. However, his eyes widened when he noticed 2's smirk. He quickly moved his body in a weird manner and saved himself from the wind slash that was about to attack his arm. However, due to that, he stood in an awkward position. 2 did not waste this chance and attacked his legs. Nux finally lost his balance and fell to the ground. Yah! 3 rushed towards Nux and attacked his face. Nux rolled over and defended, but 3 continued attacking. Nux continued rolling and defending. However, he soon noticed Thyra and 2 were activating their bigger attacks. This was bad. Nux then shook his head, then sighed. All right, that's enough. I give up. He admitted defeat. 3 stopped attacking, and 2 and Thyra stopped the skills they were activating as well. Ha! We told you, didn't we, Master Nux? We are not like those useless Grandmaster stage cultivators who never train. Don't underestimate us. 3 laughed. She felt better after defeating Nux, even though it was an unfair 1v3 battle. Yes, you guys are strong, Nux nodded as he stood up and cleaned the dust from his clothes. Three's smile widened, and although Two tried to hide it, a smile had appeared on his face as well. However, Thyra didn't share their happiness. She was looking at Nux with a serious look on her face. The skills you were using, were these the 4-star skills you got from Bannermane and Hardwick houses? She couldn't take it anymore and questioned. This question attracted everyone's attraction. Three's and Two's smiles faded, and they turned towards Nux for his answer. How funny, Thyra. What are you talking about? He only received those skills 3 days ago. How can he learn them so quickly? Felberta chuckled, and Skyla, Lane, and Etta nodded. Not only them, but even 2 and 3 were nodding as well. But Thyra kept her gaze towards Nux, waiting for his answer. She didn't sense wrong. Although poorly used, the skills Nux was using were 4-star skills, and she was sure that he didn't have any other 4-star skills than the ones he got 5 days ago. However, this didn't make any sense. The number of people who could learn a 4-star skill within 4 days were no more than 5. This kind of scary talent isn't that common, especially when he learned multiple skills at the same time. Then how is Nux using these techniques? Is it related to that weird magic of his? Since she couldn't come up with an answer, she directly questioned the man. Indeed, these were the techniques that I got from Bannermane and Hardwick houses. However, as you can see, I'm still not proficient in using them, Nux nodded. However, his humble answer shocked everyone as their eyes widened and they questioned, "What?
What?" everyone questioned in surprise. No, I do not believe it. That is just not possible. No matter how much of a monster he is, this is just ridiculous. Surprisingly, Felberta was the one who was surprised the most. If anyone had known what she was thinking a few minutes ago, they would question one thing for sure. What happened to the elegance you were talking about? Why is your mouth wide open now? You don't look very elegant to me. However, since nobody knew her thoughts, nobody said anything. It could be said that Felberta was lucky, else her superiority would be gone. However, her surprise wasn't without any reason. Similar to her, Lane and Skyla, who had known Nux for a longer period of time, were surprised as well. But isn't his affinity at medium level? Lane muttered to herself. Thyra, who heard her, turned her head in shock and questioned, "What did you say?" "His affinity. It was medium level, with all the elements." "Then how?" Thyra muttered as she glanced at Nux in shock. Everyone else in the room had similar expressions, and Nux, who was the center of attention, frowned. He now realized why they were so shocked. His talent, or his affinity, was medium level. Name: Nux Leander. Age: 18. Mana cultivation: Master. Body cultivation: Master. Talent: Medium. LVL: 31. HP: 810 out of 810. MP: 580 out of 580. STR: 83. AGL: 93. VIT: 81. STM: 120. INT: 80. DEF: 80. Blank points: 103. Yes, he rechecked it, and his talent was medium. He should not be able to learn 4-star skills so easily. Something was wrong. "We will check your affinity again," suddenly Felberta muttered. Felberta was the one who was surprised more than anyone else. Affinity, talent. She always cursed herself for being born with low talent. Of course, with Nux's arrival, her talent did not matter at all, since they can raise their cultivation with snoo. However, she was still a little sensitive to something related to affinity. Nux then turned towards Felberta, placed his hand on her butt, and nodded with a small smile. "As you say, my dear Fel." A small smile appeared on Felberta's face.
It doesn't really matter, she thought inwardly, and closed her eyes. Thyra, who noticed this, narrowed her eyes. For some reason, she did not like what she was seeing at all. She was jealous? When she realized it, she shook her head repeatedly and walked with the others. A few minutes later, all of them were inside a room, looking at 4 crystal balls that were fixed on the table with solemn looks on their faces. Nux nodded at Felberta. She nodded back, and Nux walked towards the 4 crystals. Let's try wind first. This is the most important for running away, Nux thought inwardly before he placed his hand on the crystal and injected his mana into it with a determined look on his face. Nothing happened for the first few seconds. However, 30 seconds later, the crystal trembled and shined. Low level, Felberta muttered inwardly. 10 seconds later, the light coming out of the crystal brightened. Medium level. Another 10 seconds, the crystal shined even more brightly. High level. Felberta's eyes widened in surprise. His talent increased again, just like how it happened before. However, her surprise wasn't over yet. Another 10 seconds, a blinding light was released from the crystal, and everyone present in the room widened their eyes in shock. Exceptional, 3 exclaimed, her eyes shining with excitement and surprise. It's exceptional level affinity. Skyla jumped in joy as well. Wait, isn't there only one person in the entire Skyfall Kingdom who has exceptional level affinity? Etta questioned. Yes, Candace Waters, the gem of the Royal Academy. They say she has exceptional level affinity with water. 2 informed. And Master Nux is now second one, exceptional level affinity with wind element. Thyra muttered as she glanced at Nux in shock. Everyone else in the room had similar expressions, and Nux, who was the center of attention, frowned. He now realized why they were so shocked. His talent, or his affinity, was medium level. My talent is clearly medium level. Why is it showing exceptional here? Is talent not equal to affinity? Did I guess it wrong all along? Nux started thinking. Knock, knock, knock. However, before he could think too much, he heard a knock followed by a voice. Master Nux, the breakfast is ready. Nux then glanced out the window and noticed that the sun was already out. All right, we will be right there, Nux replied. He then turned to the rest and smiled. All right, let's stop thinking about all this and eat something. Others nodded. Thyra, 2, and 3 walked away. They never ate food with them and planned to keep it that way. Nux wanted to invite Thyra. However, since 2 and 3 were here, he knew she wouldn't agree, so he did not. Felberta, Skyla, Lane, and Etta then walked towards the dining hall, and the breakfast was served. Hey Nux, you're going to meet Lady Allura in the afternoon, right? Have you prepared anything? Suddenly Etta questioned. A small smile appeared on Nux's face as he replied, What's there to prepare? I will go with the flow. Lady Natalia, welcome. A receptionist bowed and welcomed her with a big smile on his face. The lady he was talking to smiled a little and expressed, I need a room. Yes, Lady Natalia, your usual room is already prepared. Here's the key. The receptionist answered with a smile and gave her the keys. One of the 2 servants following Lady Natalia took the keys and nodded at the receptionist. The receptionist nodded back, and Lady Natalia, along with her 2 bodyguards, walked away. A receptionist's friend watched everything curiously, and once Lady Natalia left, he walked toward his friend and questioned, Hey, Adam, why are you so respectful to that woman? I have seen you dealing with other people before. Other than the basic courtesy, you aren't really that submissive to anyone else. Is she a high-ranking noble? Adam, the receptionist, shook his head and answered, I do not know who she is, but I have seen the plaza owner talk to her before, and I clearly remembered the expression he had on his face that day. Expression? What expression? A respectful expression, with some fear hidden behind it. Doesn't the plaza owner have a backing of a marquis's house? Why is he... his friend muttered in confusion. However, soon he understood something. I don't know who that lady is, but it's better not to get on her bad side. I don't plan to die so soon, not after Camilla and I are in a relationship, Adam muttered. The friend's face turned sour when he heard what he said. Hey, what's with that face, huh? We played it fair, okay? She was the one who chose me. A sigh escaped out of Adam's friend's mouth, and he smiled wryly. Yeah, I know. I failed. Anyway, I'm happy for you. If only I had gotten the job in the Crown Plaza. Ha, money is important indeed. Oblivious to his thoughts, Adam smiled and patted his shoulders. Thank you. Back at the palace. Lady Allura, we left the palace 2 days ago. I don't think it's appropriate for us to leave again. Oh, come on, Protector. How many times will you repeat the same thing? We've already left the palace. We've even reached our destination. You can stop worrying now. Also, what could possibly go wrong? It's not like anyone knows who I am. And even if someone does, aren't you here to protect me? Allura muttered as she looked around and observed the room she and her protectors have just entered. Well, for all the slow folks, Lady Natalia, who booked the room, was Allura all along. She has left the palace again, which was quite abnormal compared to her usual pattern, since she never leaves the palace multiple times in a week. Of course, nobody doubted her because of something small like that. She was the bored concubine. She does stuff in order to surprise others and entertain others. If it was her, leaving the palace again wasn't very abnormal. Of course, it would be a different thing if she was meeting a man, but that would not happen. Lady Allura, we can't protect you from everything. You need to be cautious as well. Eh? Aren't you the all-strong Grand Master stage cultivators? Who are you scared of? Allura questioned with a smile on her face. The two protectors who had been with her for a long time knew that smile very well. Lady Allura, you are right. Just let us protect you. Don't worry about anything else and enjoy all you want. Yes, we two men will now take our leave. Of course, we will be protecting you from the shadows. The two protectors laughed awkwardly and left the room in hurry. A timely retreat. If this was before, Allura would have snorted and complained that these two old geezers were too boring. However, today was different. Today she sighed of relief instead. I really left the palace to meet a man who I don't even know properly, and a young man to boot. If someone learns about it, I'll be dead in no time. Allura thought inwardly as her heartbeat quickened. This feeling was scary and thrilling at the same time. If someone else learns about it, they will think that I'm cheating on the king. Wait, am I cheating? Huh? What am I thinking? Of course I am not. I'm just meeting him. He's not my lover. He's more like a friend who can entertain me. Allura convinced herself, and then a sad look appeared on her face. Also, it's not like he will care about it. I'm just a trophy after all. Allura then shook her head repeatedly to get rid of her thoughts. She walked toward the bed and pressed a button. Knock, knock, knock. A few minutes later, a knock was heard. Enter. A servant entered and bowed. Bring me a tea. Yes, madam. The servant bowed and walked out of the room. However, just as he was about to close the door, Allura ordered, Keep the door open. Yes, madam. The servant nodded and walked away with another bow. A few minutes later, he returned with a table and stood in front of the door. Enter. He then entered the room, placed the cup on the table, filled it with tea, and then left. Allura then grabbed the teacup and started drinking as she looked out the window. The sun was out and was shining brightly. It was already afternoon. It was time for lunch. He's late. To dare make me wait, I will make sure he pays a price, she snorted. I apologize if I offended you in any way, Lady Allura. However, there are still 15 minutes before lunchtime, so I am not late. It is you who arrived too early. Not that I'm complaining. Rather, I'm happy to know that you are as excited about our lunch together as I am. I apologize if I offended you in any way, Lady Allura. However, there are still 15 minutes before lunchtime, so I am not late. It is you who arrived too early. Not that I am complaining. Rather, I am happy to know that you are as excited about our lunch together as I am. Allura widened her eyes in surprise as she turned around and saw Nux standing behind her with that signature smile on his face. Are you a ghost? How do you appear behind me every time without me realizing it? And why are my protectors unable to stop you? Allura questioned. Yes, that was the reaction I was expecting when I appeared behind you the first time. However, you disappointed me and started asking all those questions. Well, I can understand that as well. You were missing me very much that day, so it was normal. Nux muttered with a smile on his face. I was not missing you, Allura retorted. She then realized something and retorted again. Also, I am not excited about this lunch at all. I am not early. You are early, Lady Allura. I am not. Lunchtime is 1 p.m. in the afternoon. Yes, and it is 12:50 right now. You were 15 minutes early, Lady Allura, Nux muttered as he pointed at the clock that was hanging in the room. Allura glanced at the clock and widened her eyes in surprise. Well, it was not like she didn't know about it. Actually, Nux wasn't playing any games here. She did arrive a little early since she was a little excited about meeting him. Of course, she would never admit it out loud. Who would give a free point like this to others? Yes, that is what I'm talking about. It is 12:50. Lunchtime is 12:45 p.m., and you are late. I believe you should apologize. In the end, Allura was a noble as well. She can lie right through her teeth without any problems. As long as you don't admit you are lying, you are saying the truth. Simple. Seeing her lie, Nux shook his head and sighed. You are really trying hard to not admit it, huh, Lady Allura? However, if you were not excited and were in rush to come here, how do you explain the missing eyeliner on your left eye? Nux questioned with a smile on his face. Allura's eyes widened in surprise. Wait, did the maids not do my makeup right? Have I been walking around without an eyeliner all this time? What? Why didn't anyone tell me? Were they scared about angering me, or were they laughing behind my back? Allura's whole world crumbled as she thought of countless possibilities. Suddenly, a mirror appeared in her hand, and as she glanced at her own face, her movements paused. Suddenly, she closed her eyes and started breathing heavily. However, she still failed to control her anger and lashed out. How dare— Shh! However, before she could say much, Nux placed a finger on his lips and gestured her to stay silent as he pointed at the door. They will hear you, he whispered softly. How dare you fool me? Allura questioned in anger. Of course, her tone was a little softer than before. My bad, Lady Allura. However, this does prove one thing. What? That you were in such a hurry to see me that you forgot to see your face mirror and rush to here. I am glad to know it, Lady Allura. You truly have made my day. Nux chuckled. Allura's face turned red in anger and embarrassment. You bastard! How dare you tease me? She roared, and of course she did it in a low voice. My bad, Lady Allura. However, this does prove one thing. What? That you were in such a hurry to see me that you forgot to see your face mirror and rushed to here. I am glad to know it, Lady Allura. You truly have made my day. Nux chuckled. Allura's face turned red in anger and embarrassment. You bastard! How dare you tease me? she roared, and of course she did it in a low voice. You dare laugh at me? Wait. Soon Allura realized something. She then turned towards Nux and narrowed her eyes. You changed the topic again, she complained. What do you mean? Don't try to act innocent. I won't fall for it twice. I asked you, however, you tried to change the topic. I do not like it. It is disrespectful if you are not going to answer my questions. There is no point in having lunch together this way. Allura replied in a serious tone. Nux smiled wryly when he saw her expression. As expected, it isn't easy to fool her, Lady Allura? He thought inwardly and shook his head. He had noticed that his plans aren't working that well these days. First the case with Thyra, and now this. Well, whatever. He just needs to face it directly. Plus, where's the fun in doing everything according to the script? All right, ask what you want. Nux decided to take a chance and be honest. Of course, how much information he reveals depends on him. He wasn't going to tell everything to a woman he met a few days ago. How did you appear behind me without alerting my protectors? Allura questioned for the third time. It's because... Knock, knock, knock. Nux wanted to answer, but before he could, he heard a knock. What is it? Allura questioned. She wasn't very panicked like before. She has seen how scarily quick this young man's reflexes are. He always hides in time if something goes wrong. Lunch, the servant standing on the other side of the door muttered. Oh, to think that Lady Allura had already ordered lunch. Considerate indeed, Nux commented. Allura decided to ignore his comments. It wasn't her who ordered the food, it was her protectors. Of course, they did that because she told them to. But, as you know, nobody needs to know that. Go hide, I'm calling him. Just call him, I'll show you how I appeared behind you so easily. It will be a lot better than to directly explain it to you, Nux muttered with a smile on his face. Allura glanced at him with an unsure look. Nux then nodded. Trust me. Trust me, Nux muttered, and for some reason Allura thought she could trust him a little. Enter, she ordered. She then heard the voice of the door opening. Time around her slowed down, and she observed the door opening in slow motion. Each passing millisecond, Allura's heartbeat quickened, and she started panicking a little. What if Nux's trick didn't work? What if the servant saw another unknown man beside her? Actually, the servant seeing them together was fine, since he didn't know who she was. However, what if the protectors saw Nux? What would they think? Would they try to side with her and shut their mouth? Or would they tell everything to the king? What if the king learns about it? Will he kill her? Of course he will. He will execute her publicly. He wouldn't even think twice about that. As countless thoughts appeared in her mind, Allura panicked even more. Suddenly, she started regretting her decision. However, it was already too late. The door opened, and the servant entered the room. Allura's heart skipped a beat. She quickly turned her head, and her eyes widened in horror when she noticed that Nux was sitting right beside her with a small smile on his face. Did his technique fail? She thought inwardly and panicked even more. If Allura was a heart patient, then today she would have died for sure. Don't worry, he can't see me. Allura was then brought out of her reverie when she heard Nux's voice. She then turned around as she glanced at the servant and was quick to notice that what Nux said was true. The servant indeed didn't notice him. A sigh of relief escaped her mouth. However, Nux had other plans in his mind. His smile widened as he stood up and walked toward the servant. Allura's heart, which had barely calmed down, started beating faster again. Why is he moving in front of him? She questioned inwardly. However, her eyes widened in horror when she saw Nux picking up a meatball from the table and eating it in front of the servant. Do you not see him? Allura couldn't help but question. What, Lady Natalia? The servant questioned in a humble tone. He has heard about this guest and was told that he should act very, very respectfully, else this will be his last day at work and probably his life. Allura's eyes widened in surprise. "He is standing right in front of you. How can you not see him?" She wanted to scream out loud, however, she didn't do it. She was sane enough to hold back. However, she wasn't able to hide her surprised expression that the servant found weird. "Lady Natalia, is there something wrong? I apologize for my incompetence. Please tell me what I am unable to see. I assure you that I will improve myself and deal with whatever problem you are facing." The servant practically begged. He felt that he had somehow missed an important detail that had offended this woman in front of him. He still has his family that relies on him. He can't die here. Allura was taken aback by his question. She then pointed at the window and said a random excuse that came to her mind. "A crow. There was a crow there. It must have flown away now." "Lady Natalia, is that crow annoying you? Do you want me to do something about that crow? Should I send someone to catch it?" the servant questioned. "No need. Also, I don't really think you can catch him." She muttered the last line in a very soft voice. "What?" the servant, who couldn't hear her, questioned. "Nothing. I said you do not need to do anything. Just serve the food. Oh yes, keep an extra pair of cutlery here," Allura ordered. "As you say, Lady Natalia." The servant did everything quickly and sighed of relief. He lived to see another day. Just 12 more days, then he will get his salary. He was planning to buy a new dress for his daughter. "I will take my leave now, Lady Natalia. I hope you have a good day ahead and enjoy your stay here." He then bowed and left the room. When the servant left, Nux smiled at Allura and sat on the chair. However, Allura wasn't as comfortable as him. "Are you a ghost? Are you here to get your revenge? If yes, then I promise I wasn't behind your death. I'm innocent. I haven't even killed an animal before. I only eat the meat others hunt. I'm innocent," she muttered with moist eyes. Nux was sure if he didn't say anything, she would start crying right here. "Are you not here to kill me? Is it something like only I can see you? Do you want my help to get your revenge? If that is the case, then I can help you. However, I will need to hear your whole story. I won't kill someone innocent for your revenge, no matter how much you scare me." "You should stop reading too many fantasy books, Lady Allura." Nux couldn't help but shake his head. "I'm not a ghost," he muttered. "Then how is it that only I can see you?" Allura questioned. "Didn't your protectors see me the first time we met?" Allura's eyes widened in surprise as she realized this was true. "Then how?" "This is my ability. Once I activate it, no one can see me unless I don't want him or her to." Nux then brought his face close to hers and muttered, "This is how I managed to sneak into your room without anyone noticing me. Cool, right?" "Doesn't this make you a perfect assassin?" Allura questioned curiously. For some reason, she felt that Nux wouldn't harm her. Nux's smile widened when he heard her question, and he answered, "Stronger than the king." "Stronger than the king," Nux answered with a smile, and Allura's eyes widened in surprise. "Stronger than the king? But you are at master stage. You can't even defeat a grandmaster stage expert, let alone a king," Allura retorted. "Do you really think so? Then tell me, how old is the king?" Nux questioned. 200 years or something?" Allura answered with a shrug. It looked like she wasn't very bothered about it. Nux frowned at that. However, he shook his head inwardly and continued. "And I am just 18 years old. I only need a few more years before I catch up to the king and then surpass him. Then I can even become the new king." Allura raised her eyebrows at that statement. "You do know what you just said is enough to get you executed, right?" she questioned. Nux's smile widened as he answered, "Yes, I do." Allura narrowed her eyes as she questioned, "What if I tell what you said to the king? Are you not afraid?" "He?" Nux smiled as he moved his face close to Allura and muttered, "I know you won't. I trust you." Allura's heart started beating quickly. However, she quickly shook her head and cried inwardly, "He's just an 18-year-old boy. What the hell are you beating so quickly for?" However, when she saw Nux's handsome face close to hers, she couldn't take it anymore and pushed him away. You were too close," she muttered. "Oh, my bad. I didn't know a mature woman like you would blush so easily, though it makes me glad for some reason." Nux smiled playfully. "You—" Allura wanted to retort, however, she noticed her red face on the window's glass's reflection and wasn't able to say anything. Nux smiled even more and walked towards the table. "All right, let's eat now." Saying that, he started placing the food on the plates and signaled Allura to join. Allura didn't like that he was the only one doing this, and she started placing the food on the table as well. Nux paused as he noticed what she was doing. A small smile appeared on his face, and he continued. "So, Lady Allura, what are your hobbies?" Nux questioned. "Reading books," Allura answered. What type of books do you read?" Nux questioned. "Fantasy." "Oh, that's good. I have an amazing story in my mind that matches the genre you read. Would you like to hear it?" Nux questioned with a small smile. Allura's glanced at Nux with eyes full of interest as she nodded. She was out of good books lately, so any good story was warmly welcomed. "So this is a story about a man who lives in a world that is a lot different than ours." "What kind of world?" Allura questioned. "A world where the concept of cultivation doesn't exist. The humans there aren't able to cultivate and live longer. Everyone there is a normal man who is barely able to live for 100 years. However, although there was no cultivation in that world, there was something called technology. With that, the humans there were able to progress so much that they could even leave their own planet and explore other planets outside." "Oh!" Allura's eyes brightened. Though she wasn't able to imagine a world without cultivation, this technology thingy sure did attract her interest. All right, Lady Allura. We are going to stay here for quite a while. Don't just listen to my story, eat lunch as well." "Yes," Allura nodded. Nux smiled as he continued his story. What story was it? Nux wasn't really an author, was he? He just spat out random bullshit, and since the whole science and technology was new to Allura, she enjoyed whatever he said. He wasn't dumb enough to tell her stories like Cinderella and all that, because the way people in this world think was different. Therefore, for them to like the stories the people on Earth liked, it was highly unlikely. Well, whatever. The main goal was to talk, which he had achieved. While he was at it, he also probed and learned about Allura's other interests as well. The two of them continued. Well, Nux was the one who spoke the most, but the way Allura's eyes were gleaming with interest, Nux knew that he had succeeded in the first step, gain her interest. An hour passed, and Nux had long stopped the story on something debatable. The two of them started talking about if what the main character did was right or not, and this way, Nux started chatting about another topic. He didn't realize it, however, he was becoming a master at changing the course of conversation. Unlike him in the past, on Earth, now he was the one who set up the pace of the conversation, while the others followed. How did this happen? Who knows? "Oh, look at the time, Lady Allura. It's already 2 p.m. Allura's eyes glanced at the clock in shock. She couldn't believe so much time had passed. "So, Lady Allura, when are we meeting the next time?" And before she could think too much, Nux continued. "The next time we meet, I will make sure to bring a storybook that was popular in my town. It is also about Earth, the world without magic. However, it is a lot better than the one I shared with you before." Allura's eyes brightened in joy. "Really? Why would I lie to you, Lady Allura?" Nux questioned with a smile. Allura was taken aback by the smile, and she muttered, "Okay, then we will meet 1 week later. I have left the palace 2 times already. Someone will be suspicious of me if I leave again this week." "Ah, I can understand that. All right, next week it is then." Nux smiled. Then he stood up, walked towards the window. "See you soon, Lady Allura." "Wait!" However, just as he was about to jump out of the window, Allura called. "I still do not know your name," Allura questioned. A smile appeared on Nux's face as he replied, "Nux Leander." "Knock, knock, knock. Who is it?" After Nux left, Allura heard a knock and questioned. "It is me, Lady Allura. Enter." Then Allura's protector entered the room and she questioned, "What is it?" "I wanted to ask what plans you have for today, Lady Allura," the protector questioned. However, before she could answer, the protector furrowed his brows. "Lady Allura, why are there 2 sets of plates on your table?" Allura was shocked when she noticed the plates. However, she didn't show any change in her expression. Meeting Nux was her little secret. She couldn't tell anyone else about it because she was sure they would misunderstand. "Nothing. I just wanted to check if the food tasted different if we keep it on 2 different plates," Allura answered whatever came into her mind. ... Her protector looked at her weirdly, however he didn't say anything. Just how bored one has to be to try something like this. However, no one was stopping the protector from thinking and judging inwardly. The protector then shook his head to get rid of these thoughts and then questioned, "So back to the topic, what are your plans for today, Lady Allura?" He completely ignored the plate incident. He felt like it was better to do so. Allura sighed in relief when her protector didn't question much. Of course, nobody knew what face she would make if she knew his inner thoughts. "Let's return to the palace," she muttered. "What? Is there a problem?" Allura frowned. No, Lady Allura. There are no problems at all. I shall prepare everything." The protector bowed and left the room in surprise. "What's with that look on your face, Bruce?" the other protector questioned when he noticed the surprised look on Bruce, the protector's face. "Lady Allura wants to return," Bruce answered. "What? Why?" "I do not know. I am surprised myself. This has never happened before. She just came here, stayed in a room, and now she wants to return? She didn't tease anyone, she didn't observe anyone, she didn't buy out a stall just to see the owner's reaction. Why the hell is she returning so quickly? Who knows? Is she sick? Why would she leave the palace if she was sick? You have a point." The 2 protectors started thinking. Although Allura was pretty unpredictable and does things randomly to entertain herself, she wasn't completely unpredictable either. Therefore, her protectors, who have been protecting her for years now, know a lot about her habits. They were sure that Lady Allura was acting weird. "Well, whatever. Isn't it better for us anyway?" Bruce muttered. "That's true. Maybe Lady Allura is maturing. She's not a child, you know." "Ugh, whatever. Just go and prepare the carriage. I will stay here." "All right." Night, inside Alger's room, a very scene was repeating itself. ... Thyra and Alger stared at each other. I'm ready, you can go ahead and beat me." However, Alger was too familiar with where this will go, therefore he prepared himself for what was about to come and raised his hand in surrender. No use going through the same script again and again and again. You might go ahead and hit him, at least he is mentally prepared for it right now. "Did Nux order you to call me here?" Thyra questioned, however Alger didn't fail to notice that her tone was a lot calmer than yesterday. Not only that, rather than calling Master Nux "that bastard," she called him by his name. A small smile appeared on Alger's face. Of course, he was not thinking anything weird. The poor man just wanted to survive without being beaten, and he saw an opportunity to do that. "Yes. Of course, it was Master Nux who told me to call you." Alger nodded with the friendliest smile possible. Actually, Thyra wanted to hit him just because of that weird smile of his. However, she controlled herself. She was not a brute delinquent. "So, what does he want today?" she questioned. And as soon as she did, the smile on Alger's face disappeared. He had forgotten. There was no way he could save himself from the beating today. Master Nux didn't leave him any chance to. Alger gulped as he remembered that question. He did not want to ask that question at all. However, he was helpless. He couldn't do anything about it at all. Alger closed his eyes, his face paled, and he questioned, "Have you learned anything from your spar with Master Nux today? Have you profited in any way?" ... Thyra stayed silent. Since she didn't say anything, Alger knew she was pissed and opened his left eye to check her reaction. His body trembled when he noticed her that she was just standing there with her head down and her hair were covering her eyes. Pfft. Suddenly a laugh escaped out of Thyra's mouth. "Huh?" Alger opened his eyes as he glanced at Thyra in confusion. "Ha ha ha ha! He really couldn't find a better topic, could he? Ha!" Alger's room was filled with Thyra's surprisingly sweet laughter. Has she gone crazy? Am I about to die? Alger thought inwardly. Don't worry, I know it's not your fault. You're just following orders. All right, I will take my leave now. Although she had covered her face with a mask, Alger was sure that she was smiling right now. Thyra then left the room and smiled. What an exhibitionist, Thyra snorted. But this time I will pass through that room without peeking. I will not peek at all. Thyra nodded to herself, with her eyes filled with determination. She then started walking. The closer she walked to Nux's room, the faster her heart started beating. I do not hear anything. 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 She continued to convince herself as she walked. However, soon she noticed something. I do not hear anything. She frowned. Was her convincing power too good? She walked closer to Nux's room, and ... Still no sound, no moaning. What happened? Thyra thought curiously. In the end, Thyra couldn't control herself anymore and walked towards Nux's room. She arrived at the door, crouched, and then slightly opened the door like she always does. However, she was surprised to see that the room was empty. Thyra frowned, but before she could think too much, a hand covered her mouth as someone grabbed her from behind and carried her into the room.
Thyra panicked when someone grabbed her from behind. She didn't sense this person at all. Who was he? What was he doing here? Thyra moved her body, trying to get out of the man's grip. However, suddenly the man who was grabbing her from behind blew a mouthful of hot air into her right ear, and a jolt of electricity streamed into Thyra's body, weakening her resistance. Thyra frowned. What sort of person does that to weaken their targets? Soon, an annoying but handsome face appeared in her mind. She turned around as much as she could and was now sure who this person was. She sighed in relief and stopped resisting. "Eh? You gave up pretty quickly, Thyra," Nux smiled as he released her. Then he walked toward the door and closed them. "Why did you do this to me?" Thyra questioned. "What? Are you really trying to act innocent?" But I am innocent, am I not?" Nux questioned as he tilted his head in confusion. "Innocent my head! You grabbed me from behind and forced me into your room," Thyra retorted. She doesn't know why, but she always loses her calm in front of this man. She really hated that. She was a calm woman. She was not someone who keeps shouting for no reason. "Eh? How am I the bad person here? I was only catching the woman who was sneakily peeking into my room, was I not?" I was not peeking! Thyra's face turned a little red and retorted. "Oh, come on! How dare you lie so blatantly? I was there when you were crouching in front of my room, then you opened the door a little, and you moved your head closer to the gap to look inside. Is that not called peeking?" Thyra's face then turned redder as she replied, I was not peeking, I was just curious." "Huh? What's the difference? You were attacking my privacy in either case, were you not?" "Privacy my head! You are an exhibitionist who likes it when other people see you having sex. How can a person like you have privacy?" Nux's face twitched as he questioned, "Huh? Where did you get that idea from?" "Isn't that why you manipulated me into watching you?" Thyra questioned. "Huh? Didn't we get over that in the morning? You wouldn't have been manipulated if you were not a pervert. Don't blame me." "I am not a pervert," Thyra shouted. "Then why were you peeking at me?" Nux shouted as well. "Did I tell you just now? I was just curious as to why there was no voice coming out of your room," Thyra questioned even louder. "Huh? What kind of sound are you talking about?" Suddenly, a small smile appeared on Nux's face as he questioned. Huh?" Thyra stopped midway as she glanced towards Nux and then quickly covered her mouth. However, it was already over. Nux had heard her. "Oh, so you were curious as to why you didn't hear any moans today as you do normally?" he questioned.
Cornered, Thyra couldn't do anything but nod. Nux's smile widened. He then walked towards Thyra, and Thyra stepped back. "Ah, that is a good question indeed," Nux muttered as he continued walking towards Thyra. "Why isn't there any woman inside my room today? Were you wondering that?" Thyra nodded, however she didn't make eye contact with Nux and continued stepping back. "Why isn't there any woman inside his room today? Were you wondering that?" "Yes, I was curious," Thyra nodded. Nux's smile widened even more as he walked towards Thyra. The girl wanted to step back, however her back was already touching the wall. Nux then closed the distance between them as he raised her chin and answered, "That's because the woman inside my room is... you." Thyra's eyes widened in shock and her heart started beating loudly. "We were interrupted in the morning, were we not? Don't you think we should continue it?" Nux questioned. I do not think we should continue it," Thyra muttered weakly, however she didn't do anything to push him away. "Oh, are you sure?" Nux questioned. I am. Are you not curious about how my rod slams into a woman's body? Are you not curious why my women moan so loudly? Are you not curious about how good it feels?" Nux questioned, and Thyra's face turned red. "You are curious to know everything, right?" Thyra nodded weakly. "Then shall we continue what we were about to do in the morning?" Nux questioned again. This time Thyra didn't say anything and lowered her head. Or she tried to. Nux lifted her chin as he glanced at her crystal blue eyes. He then removed the annoying mask that covers her incredibly beautiful face and revealed her luscious red lips. Nux glanced at Thyra with his golden eyes filled with immense desire. Desire so strong that even Thyra could feel it, and due to that, her heart started beating quickly, so quickly that she felt that it would burst apart. Then she saw Nux had closed his eyes. She didn't know why, however she felt that she should do the same, and she closed her eyes as well. As soon as her eyes were closed, her other senses heightened. She could feel that Nux's was coming closer to hers. She wasn't born yesterday. She knew what was about to happen. Does she want it to happen? She doesn't know. However, does she want Nux to stop? Not at all. Her lips trembled a little before they moved a little forward and formed a pout. Soon an incredibly soft pair of lips touched hers, and as soon as the contact was made, her body trembled and her heart started beating so fast that she doubted if it was humanly possible. Nux moved his lips, and since Thyra didn't know anything, she just followed his rhythm and continued to enjoy this foreign feeling inside her heart. Yes, Thyra Cruz was enjoying this first kiss of hers. Nux moved his lips. He first sucked Thyra's lower lip, then he started sucking her upper lip, repeated that a few times, and soon Thyra, who was trying to note his pattern, copied his actions as well. However, Thyra couldn't keep up for long as something wet entered her mouth. It was Nux's tongue. Thyra's eyes widened in surprise. However, she didn't resist. She couldn't resist. She just let Nux do whatever he wanted, and with his every action, her heartbeat rose. It was a new and a weird experience for her. Nux's tongue then found hers, and the two of them started mingling with each other. Their salivas exchanged as Nux's hand moved towards Thyra's back as he pulled her close to him. Thyra's hands copied Nux's movements as well, and they moved towards Nux's back. Yes, Thyra was hugging Nux as well. Even Nux was surprised by that action. Nux's heartbeat quickened as he tightened his hug around Thyra, and the two of them shared a long, passionate kiss. And then, suddenly, Thyra's body arched up in surprise when she felt Nux's hand moving down from her waist to her butt and then to her vagina, which has been very sensitive for the last few days. "Ah?" Thyra then moved her mouth as she broke the kiss and moaned. "Hey. So sensitive," Nux smiled as his fingers gently kneaded her opening. "Ah?" Thyra moaned again. Nux noticed that her voice was incredibly sweet.
He then glanced at her face and saw that she was looking at him as her crystal blue eyes shined with innocence, curiosity, and desire. Seeing that look on her beautiful face, Nux couldn't control himself anymore and picked her up. Ah! Thyra's body jerked in horror. Nux then gently placed her on the bed as he crawled towards her and whispered, "You don't need to panic, Thyra. Just leave everything to me." Saying that, he gave her a little peck on her lips and questioned, "Okay?" His voice was so gentle that Thyra couldn't help but nod. Nux then smiled at her, then with another peck on her forehead and then on the lips, he moved down towards her cave and started removing her pants. As an assassin, Thyra wore skin-tight clothes, therefore removing her pants turned out to be harder than Nux expected. However, he enjoyed every second of it. Heh. Her face that turned redder and redder was very satisfying to watch. After a minute of struggle, he finally removed her pants, revealing her long legs with the most perfect pair of thighs Nux had ever seen. Gulp. Nux gulped. He doesn't know why, but he felt that he would develop a new fetish. However, Nux quickly shook his head. This was not about him right now, it was about Thyra. He then turned his gaze towards the white panty Thyra was wearing, and with a smooth movement, he removed that panty out of his way, revealing her beautiful pink entrance. Thyra tried to close her legs as soon as Nux removed her panty, however, Nux held her leg and didn't let her move. "Leave everything to me, Thyra," he repeated in a very gentle voice. Thyra nodded. Her heart was about to explode now. She felt Nux's gaze on her private part. This filled her heart with unexplainable feeling. She didn't know what this feeling was. However, she knew that she didn't hate it. Nux then observed her entrance for a little while, and soon his finger moved and started circling it around her entrance. Thyra's body trembled again, and soon her liquid started leaking out. Nux smiled mischievously as he flicked her erect clit. "Ah?" Thyra moaned out loud. "Ah?" However, Nux didn't give her any chance to react as his finger entered her pussy. When Nux noticed that she was comfortable with one finger, his other finger entered as well. His two fingers then started creating havoc inside Thyra's pussy. Every time Thyra's body jerked a little, Nux noted that place in his mind and continued teasing other parts of her insides. As an expert, Nux found out many of her weak points in just 5 minutes. However, these 5 minutes were anything but just 5 minutes for Thyra, who was breathing heavily right now with her eyes closed. She used to masturbate as well, however she never felt this good before. Never. This was simply unreal. Waves and waves of pleasure assaulted Thyra's body as Nux's fingers continued exploring her cave. Every single touch sent another wave of jolt that coursed throughout her body. She was on cloud 9. Is this how good sex feels? She wondered inwardly. However, as if Nux had heard her thoughts and had wanted to deny her conclusion, his third finger entered her cave as well. Then these 3 fingers simultaneously teased all the weak points Nux had found, and Thyra's eyes widened in shock. Ah! Another, incomparably huge wave of pleasure coursed into her body, and her back arched up. She couldn't control herself at all and moaned loudly. Her mind turned a little hazy as her walls tightened, her juice built up, and squirt! She came. She came and she continued coming for the next 30 seconds. This was the best orgasm she had ever had in her life, and this will be the best orgasm she will ever have in her life. Or, at least, that was what she thought. However, Nux didn't agree with her last thought as the smirk that appeared on his face said something else. He continued watching closely as Thyra's lower lips opened and closed uncontrollably as her juice gushed out of them. Once he was sure that Thyra was done with her orgasm, he moved up and brought his head closer to hers. Thyra sensed his movement and opened her eyes. Then she saw the smirk on his face, but before she could say anything, Nux questioned, "Should we start the main thing?" Thyra's eyes widened in horror when she questioned back, "This is not the main thing?"
"This is not the main thing?" Thyra questioned in surprise, and a smile appeared on Nux's face. "Oh, come on, Thyra. Don't act like you haven't seen the main thing. You peeked on us for 3 days straight, remember? I'm sure you know that." Nux then brought his face dangerously close to hers and whispered, "We have not even started yet." The scenes of Nux ramming his cock inside Edda's ass appeared inside Thyra's mind, and she blushed deeply. "We have not even started yet it feels so good. How good will it feel when we do the real thing?" Thyra thought inwardly as her body trembled in anticipation. And as if hearing her inner thoughts, Nux quickly removed his pants and freed his little brother that was roaring to explore another unexplored cave. "Big," Thyra muttered when Nux placed his rod on top of her little sister. Nux then moved and placed his rod in front of her entrance. Since she was already wet, Nux didn't have to wait for long. Once he was done lubricating his rod with her juices, he put the head in. He then bent down and moved his face close to Thyra. "It will hurt a little, okay?" he warned. Thyra nodded. Actually, she wasn't really scared of it. She knows that the first time hurts. However, she never thought too much about it. The pain she has been through is much worse than any normal girl can bear. A little pain was nothing for her. Another reason why she wasn't very afraid was that every time she peeks at Nux and his women, she had never seen a painful expression on any of their faces. There was just pure bliss. Therefore, Thyra was sure that the pain was nothing. Suddenly, Nux hugged her body. Thyra frowned. However, just as she was about to ask, she felt his little brother had moved and had entered her cave. However, she did not feel any pain at all. "Are you okay?" Nux questioned in worry. "Yes, I am fine," Thyra nodded. She didn't feel any pain at all. She just felt a little weird when something entered her insides. "All right, I'll move a little now, okay? Tell me when it hurts," Nux muttered in a gentle tone. A small smile appeared on Thyra's face as she nodded. "Okay." Nux then moved, and slowly but steadily, he continued entering deeper and deeper. "Ugh!" he groaned in pleasure. Thyra's insides were unusually tight, too tight. The way they surrounded his dick, he felt like they were sucking all of his energy, rendering him unable to move. Nux was barely holding back right now. He had to use all his will to not come right away. Ugh! Finally, a minute later, Nux entered Thyra's inside completely. Ugh! However, the tightness had increased. Thyra's pussy was too greedy. The way it sucked on Nux's dick was too violent. But how could Nux lose so easily? He gathered all his willpower and moved back. And as he moved back, he frowned. There was no blood. Was she not a virgin? Nux questioned inwardly. However, when he remembered her face, he shook his head. He was sure that Thyra was a virgin. Soon, Nux realized. Thyra was an assassin. She trained hard since she was young. He had heard some cases where the hymen breaks due to excessive training. This was normal. Nux's eyes then fell on Thyra's red face, and he quickly got rid of these useless thoughts. "I'll move now, okay?" Nux whispered gently. Thyra nodded, and with one thrust, Nux entered Thyra's inside deep inside her pussy again. "Oh! Oh!" This time, Nux wasn't the only one who moaned in pleasure. Thyra was already sensitive since she came earlier. Therefore, although she knew Nux would enter again, she still wasn't able to control herself and moaned out loud. Nux's felt his body weakening due to the pleasure. He then moved his rod back and rammed it into Thyra's insides again. "Oh! Oh!" The two of them moaned again. Nux then raised his head before he sealed Thyra's lips with his own and started another round of tongue fight. His hand did not stay idle as well, and they entered inside Thyra's top and then played with Thyra's breasts. He had to force Thyra to come. He had to force her to come earlier than him. Since Thyra's mouth was sealed, only a muffled moan escaped as Nux played with her beautiful breasts. They may not be large, however, they were incredibly soft. Nux played with them gently while his waist continued to move as he rammed his cock into Thyra's body. Nux then removed her top as well, and then he unhooked her bra, revealing her bare breast. With more space to move, Nux played with those beautiful breasts differently while he continued ramming his cock into Thyra's body. Nux then broke the kiss as he raised his head and started increasing his speed. Pa, pa, pa. Waves and waves of pleasure assaulted Thyra's body. She didn't know when, but the pleasure she was feeling suddenly spiked up and she lost her thinking ability. Her body turned numb due to all that pleasure, and she just lay there on the bed accepting Nux's thrust without any resistance whatsoever. She was in another realm of pleasure, a realm where she denied thinking about anything else but pleasure. Her back arched up, eyes turned back, and her tongue popped out as well. Her expression was very similar to Nux's other women. She was lost in ecstasy. Of course, Nux wasn't in a bad situation either. Thyra's pussy was tighter than he expected. He could come at any moment now. However, he couldn't come before Thyra. His pride wouldn't allow it. Therefore, he sped up his thrusting while he played with her breasts with both his hands. He was desperately trying to make Thyra come as soon as possible. He then increased his speed again. For the final touch, he pinched her nipples, and soon, Thyra's walls tightened even more. I did it. A small victory smile appeared on Nux's face as he groaned. I'm coming, Thyra. Nux then finally let go and released his milk inside Thyra's little sister. This cum shot accelerated Thyra's reaction. Her walls tightened even more, engulfing and sucking on Nux's rod intensely before they suddenly loosened up, and squirt. She came. Thyra moaned loudly. A mind-numbing pleasure assaulted her body. Strength left Nux's body as well, and he fell on the top of Thyra's body, tired. A big wave of energy entered Nux's body, and a small, tired smile then appeared on Nux's face. He knew what that energy was. However, he didn't care about it right now. He hugged Thyra's body gently as he placed his chin on her shoulder and whispered, "That was good." As soon as he whispered, Nux suddenly felt her cave tightening. His rod wasn't out of her warm insides yet, therefore he could feel every movement her pussy walls make very clearly right now. Nux furrowed his brows. What happened? He didn't even do anything. Suddenly an idea popped into his head. He moved his mouth close to her ear and whispered, "That was good, right?" Again he felt her caves tightening, and this time it was tighter than before. Thyra didn't move her mouth. However, with how red her face was right now, Nux knew she liked it as well. She looked very adorable right now. However, unlike her cute appearance, Nux had an evil smile on his face. He wanted to test something. He then took a deep breath and blew a mouthful of air into Thyra's ears gently. Thyra's eyes widened. A weird jolt of pleasure coursed through her body, and her walls tightened. Nux's smile widened as he felt the tightness. So that's her weak point, he realized. While they were busy fucking, Nux was trying to find her weak point. He tried grabbing her butt, her breasts, and her nipples. However, other than the normal reaction, he couldn't notice anything above that. He was confused about it. However, he now understood the reason. Thyra's weak point wasn't her breasts, nipples, or her butt. It was her ears. Just wait for the next time. I will make you moan like there is no tomorrow, Nux thought inwardly as his evil smirk widened. However, soon his smile turned into a gentle one, and he removed his rod from her and rolled over. Rest for today, my cute assassin. This was her first night. He will let her rest today. They will spend a lot more nights together. He can always do it later. Nux then finally decided to open his information. Status, he called out. Name, Nux Leander. Age, 18. Mana cultivation, Master. Body cultivation, Master. Talent, Medium. Level, 31 to 33. HP, 850 over 850. MP, 820 over 820. STR, 83 to 87. AGL, 93 to 97. VIT, 81 to 85. STM, 120 to 124. INT, 80 to 82. DEF, 80 to 84. Blank points, 103 to 109. Only 2 levels? That's weird. Nux frowned as he glanced at his status. Normally, he would gain a lot more levels since Thyra's level was very high compared to her. It was weird that he didn't gain anything much after this session. Actually, he had noticed this before. Edda was level 33, however, even after spending so much time with her, he was still level 31. That doesn't make sense. Has the god nerfed me since I'm too strong? Nux thought inwardly and smirked. So what? I just need to fuck more. Nux chuckled, and as if hearing his inner thoughts, Thyra opened her eyes and questioned, Are we going for another round? Nux turned around and looked at her face. Her crystal blue eyes and short black hair, combined with that deep blush on her face, made her look incredibly cute. Hee, didn't I say this before? You are a pervert, Nux teased. Thyra pouted, and then she turned to the opposite side, showing her naked back to Nux. Nux smiled. This cute Thyra was just too lethal for him. His dick turned hard, and he moved closer to Thyra and hugged her from behind. I'll not go easy on you this time, okay? He whispered into her ear, and felt her body trembling. Nux moved even closer. He placed his large dick between her perfect thighs and her entrance, while one of his hands held her thin waist and another hand gently kneaded her breast. Her body was warm and soft. Hugging her body felt so good that Nux wanted nothing more than to hug her more and more and join their bodies together. He wasn't alone. When Thyra felt Nux's hug all over her body, a weird sense of security filled her heart, and once his dick was placed so close to her sacred place, her heartbeat quickened. Her body trembled even more, and her moan leaked out. Her already sensitive cave leaked out more and more juice, and once Nux thought it was enough, he placed his dick in front of her entrance, and he entered her insides in one thrust. Nux groaned in pleasure as well. Thyra's insides were as tight as before. Nux had a feeling that he would need to do a lot of time to get used to this blissful tightness. He grabbed her breast tightly, causing Thyra to moan out loud. Nux then rolled over on top of Thyra and pulled his dick out to the edge before he rammed it deep inside. Thyra moaned. Nux, however, controlled himself, and this time he succeeded in controlling himself. He then repeated the same movement. However, this time Thyra's walls tightened even more, and Nux groaned in pleasure. Fuck it. In the end, Nux decided to let go of this stupid thought of controlling his moans, and he increased his speed. He should focus on enjoying the moment. Competitions can wait. Ah, 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 ah. This is too good.
The next morning, Nux woke up with Thyra sleeping on his chest. Since she was an assassin, she was very light, and with the way she was sleeping, Nux felt like she was a cat. He moved his hand towards her silky hair, and he started caressing them gently. A small smile appeared on Thyra's face as she moved her body cutely and made herself even more comfortable. Nux chuckled inwardly. He never thought that this cold-looking assassin would have such a cute side to her. It was very surprising. Of course, he welcomed such a surprise with open arms. Nux then continued caressing her hair and called. Status. A screen that had his information appeared in front of his eyes. Name, Nux Leander. Age, 18. Mana Cultivation, Master. Body Cultivation, Master. Talent, Medium. LVL, 33. 35. HP, 890/890. Omipe, obsute Patrusic obsute Patrusic. STR, 8791. AGL, 97-101. UV, 85-89. STM, 124-128. Int, 82-84. Def, 84-88. Blank points, 109, 115. 115 blank points, huh? Nux thought inwardly. He then looked down, and after the status screen, another screen that had another message was present. Memory fragment detected. Would you like to retrieve it? Cost, 10 black points. Chi barra diagonale. Should I do it? Nux questioned inwardly, and soon he stopped thinking inside. He firmly believed that this memory would be useless, because if his predecessor knew something that could benefit the current him, he has to be someone important, which he was clearly not. The guy was barely eating, after all. However, although he believed that his predecessor was useless, there was one thing that still bothered Nux. His predecessor rejected a Viscount. Not every commoner has the guts to do it. Therefore, it was worth a shot. Whatever, it's only a matter of time before I gain a few more levels. It's only 4 level-ups worth of blank points. Even if the memory is useless, it's okay. Nux had decided. All right, let's do it. Nux then nodded to himself and clicked yes. Suddenly, the scenery around him changed, and he appeared in the night sky. Yuwa. Nux then looked around and heard a voice. He looked in the direction and saw 2 humans carrying a child who was crying. The humans then entered what looked like an orphanage and gave the baby to the caretaker there. We found this child in front of our house. We don't know who he is or who left him there. However, we certainly cannot keep him with us. The caretaker nodded and took the child. An interesting thing to note was that Nux did not see the world from his predecessor's eyes. He saw everything from a third-person perspective. It was as if he was watching a movie. The child then grew up in the orphanage and lived an ordinary life just like other children. He cried, he ate, he slept, he did everything a normal child does. However, he was a little different from others. Black hairs, beautiful golden eyes, chubby face, the child was extraordinarily beautiful. Therefore, he was favored and spoiled by many. Even the other children in the orphanage liked him, and he lived a happy life. Till now, previous Nux lived a completely normal life. However, today something changed. Today was the day previous Nux snuck out of the orphanage with other children. Unfortunately, he caught an eye of a crazy woman, Cadila. Since Nux was 8 years old now, his feature got sharper, and he became less cuter and more handsome. And this handsome Nux caught the Cadilla's eyes. This was the start of Nux's hellish days. The next day, Nux was adopted by that crazy woman and left the orphanage. For the first few days, the crazy woman treated him well, and he was happy. But then, for some reason, the crazy lady couldn't control herself anymore. She then walked into Nux's room, locked the door, and raped him. Yes, she raped an 8-year-old child. Of course, as an 8-year-old child, Nux didn't know what was happening to him. He experienced his first premature orgasm. Like any normal person, he liked that weird, tingly feeling as well. However, this is where something happened. I'm not here to pleasure you. You're the one who is supposed to pleasure me. You bastard. The crazy woman continued to do what she was doing even when he had just orgasmed. In a single night, Nux was forced to come countless times. The first few felt good. However, soon, Nux started losing all his strength. The experience after that was anything but pleasurable. Nux tried to stop her, but he was powerless. He was assaulted the entire night. The next night was the same, then the next night. The night after that, Cadila continued to assault Nux without any reservations. Soon, she gained more and more confidence, and things escalated. She tied him up and forced him to stay inside the room. She would force Nux to do things on his own accord. If he refuses, she would let him starve for days. Sometimes, she would even take out her anger on Nux by beating him up. She would constantly make him beg for food and then give him something stale. When she was bored, she would even bring her friends so that Nux could entertain them and she would earn some money. According to her, she fed Nux and she invested in Nux. Therefore, he shall work to repay her now. That small room became Nux's prison, where he was abused every single day. This torture continued for 4 years. In these 4 years, the playful, cheerful, and naive Nux died. He was replaced by a gloomy, downcast, and scared Nux. A Nux who was hopeless, helpless, and had already given up on himself and his life. However, maybe the gods pitied his poor soul. One day, while the Cadila was walking down the street, she accidentally stepped in front of a nobleman's carriage. The arrogant nobleman did not like the fact that a filthy commoner dared to step in front of her, and the Cadila was beheaded. Hey, fitting end? Maybe, maybe not. Nux, however, didn't care. From that day forth, he was free from all the torture. He then started living on his own, working and barely managing to buy 1 meal a day. Though his life was still full of hardship, it was a lot better compared to before. Nux then continued living. However, these past 4 years left a major impact on Nux's life. Gynophobia. Yes, due to these agonizing 4 years, Nux Leander feared women.
Nux Leander feared women. Being tortured by that crazy woman was a horrifying experience. However, that did not stop him from living his lifeless life. He tried to fight his fear and talk to women. However, every time he sees a woman, an overwhelming fear takes over his body and he stops moving. Even if a woman came out of her way to compliment him for how cute he was, he would run away before she could even say a word. Nux even lost a few jobs because he ran away after seeing a female customer, or he was scared of a female coworker. In a world where 40% of the humans were women, Nux was living a very hard life. However, he still somehow managed to live. This continued for 6 years, and then, one day, few men knocked in front of Nux's house's door. Knock, knock, knock. Nux opened the door, and a scar-faced man, accompanied by 2 other men, entered. "What can I help you with?" Nux questioned in panic. These people looked overbearing. "So, is he the one?" "What a lucky bastard," a man following the scar-faced man, Akil, muttered. "Lucky indeed. I wish I could be in his place." Another man nodded. "All right, you two, shut up," the scar-faced man instructed. He then turned to Nux and questioned, "What is your name?" Nux? Leander? Sir?" "What a pussy," Nux laughed out loud. "I told you to shut the fuck up." The scar-faced man turned around and glared at Akil. "Sorry, sir." Akil lowered his head in fear. "So, Nux, I'm here to tell you that you have caught Viscount Felberta's eyes, and she wants you as her boy toy. Are you willing?" the scar-faced man questioned. The 2 men behind him showed clear signs of jealousy. Actually, even the scar-faced man felt jealous. However, he was more professional and didn't show it on his face. What? "I'm asking, are you willing to be her boy toy?" the scar-faced man repeated his question. Actually, according to him, this question was only a formality. Even though he just took him here, once he sees Viscount Felberta's face, the boy will agree. Being Viscount Felberta's boy toy and even getting paid for it, only a fool will reject such a deal. No. What? However, Nux's answer was different from his expectation. What? I said no, Nux repeated his answer. Are you sure? Dude, have you ever seen Viscount Felberta? I said no, Nux shouted and tried pushing the scar-faced man. The scar-faced man's face frowned. He didn't expect this answer, and he defiantly didn't expect such a strong denial from someone as weak as Nux. However, no matter what, he was still a thug. When he saw Nux rushing up to him, trying to push him away, his body acted on reflex and, bam! He punched Nux's face. Nux's body fell to the floor, and the scar-faced man stepped on his back and questioned, Are you sure you want to oppose me? I said no, Nux shouted. The scar-faced man's face twitched, and a vein popped on his head. He had had enough. Beat him up, he ordered. Ha 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 ha! I was waiting for this order. This idiot dared to reject such an offer? There must be a screw loose in his head. Let me fix it for him. Akil laughed as he rushed towards Nux and kicked his head. The three men then started beating Nux. However, Nux was adamant and rejected every time they asked him to rethink his answer. The three men assaulted Nux till he lost his consciousness. We will return tomorrow. I hope you will have a better answer tomorrow, the scar-faced man muttered as he walked out of the house. Now we would have to use a healing potion on him. What a waste, Akil snorted. I still don't understand why he's rejecting us. That bastard, rejecting someone like Viscount Felberta. I wish all the handsome people die a painful death, Akil cursed. Amidst the three of them leaving, Nux's body lay on the floor. Then, like in a certain game where the main character died, the screen zooms out. A similar thing happened with Nux, who was watching everything. Soon, everything around him turned black before clank. With a clank sound, everything broke down as if it was a mirror, and Nux woke up. Nux then looked around and realized that the memory had ended. My predecessor died after being beaten by those thugs, Nux realized. Then he looked around and saw that he was still in his room, on his bed. On top of his chest, Thera was sleeping. A woman was sleeping on his chest. A woman was so close to him. Nux glanced at Thera and felt something. Ah, she's so cute, Nux thought inwardly. A small smile then appeared on his face, and he patted her head. His predecessor might have feared women, but he did not. These memories did not affect him. As mentioned before, it was like he saw a movie. He knows everything about the character and knows how he feels. However, he does not feel the same thing the character does. To think he accepted being beaten to death rather than going to the Viscount, who was a woman, Nux thought inwardly, and sighed. You lived a tough life, even tougher than my past life. Then his eyes turned cold. Don't worry, I will get your revenge. Whose revenge? Suddenly Thera, who was sleeping on his chest, opened her eyes and questioned sleepily. Good morning, my cute assassin. Good morning. Thera rubbed her eyes. Then she looked around and quickly figured out her situation. She was sleeping on top of Nux, naked. Nux was naked as well. Thera widened her eyes. She quickly remembered what happened last night, and her face turned red. But before Nux could enjoy her reaction, he heard Edda's voice in his mind. Nux, this is important. You have to know this.
8 hours ago, while Nux was using his conceal and hiding, planning to grab Thyra from behind and do things with her, Edda, who he had already told his plan, decided to stay in the palace for a certain mission and was walking towards her room when she was stopped by someone. Edda? Edda turned around and looked at the person who called her. Lady Allura, what happened? Nothing happened to me, but why are you here? Don't you usually leave and meet your lover as soon as your duty ends? Allura questioned.
Ugh, Etta growled in displeasure. Of course, even though she knew what Nux was doing, and how it could only be done at the night, and how he will make up to her later, she was still disappointed. She wanted him to fuck her tonight as well. Alora, who quickly noticed her expressions, only had one thought in her mind. This feels entertaining. A smile then appeared on her face as she questioned, "Do you need an ear? You can tell me everything you want, you know." Etta glanced at Alora. She has known this Lady Alora ever since she arrived in the palace. She knew her well enough to know what she was thinking. However, sharing my pain with my future sister doesn't seem so bad, Etta thought inwardly. Plus, I need to get close to her. It might help Nux, and he might reward me for it. A small smile then appeared on Etta's face, and she nodded. "All right, Lady Alora." Alora's smile widened. She found tonight's entertainment. She then quickly grabbed Etta's hand and pulled her to her room. "All right, follow me to my room. We will talk there." The servants who passed the two of them glanced at Etta with pity in their eyes. "So it's the head maid today, huh?" Even a head maid can't defend herself from Lady Alora. Just how much bored Lady Alora is! Of course, Alora, as usual, ignored all these servants and rushed into her room. She then locked the door and questioned, "So, what happened? Why didn't you go meet your lover? Did you guys fight? Who started it? You? Nah, it must be him. He started it, right? Don't worry, you can share everything with me." Etta shook her head inwardly. She's really bored, huh? "Lady Alora, we didn't fight," she answered. Then why are you here?" Alora questioned with a displeased look on her face. She didn't want to hear another story like that maid told her yesterday. Tisk tisk, a mature couple. What a joke. People like them should just die. "He's spending this night with another woman," Etta replied with an unhappy look on her face. "Huh?" Alora turned to look at Etta with a shocked look on her face. She didn't expect something like that. No, actually, she did expect something like that. It was normal in this world. Powerful men have harems. Usually, men like these get a new woman, stay with her and spend the night with her for a few days, then forget about her. It was a very common occurrence. A sad look appeared on Alora's face. She wanted entertainment. However, she didn't want someone's life to be ruined by it. Weird coming from someone like her, who wanted couples to fight and break up so that she can enjoy the drama. "So you will now become a trophy, huh?" Alora muttered. "Huh? Don't you know what trophy means? It's a term that represents a woman who doesn't get any attention from her husband or lover." "No, Lady Alora, I know what trophy means. However, I did not become a trophy. He said he will make it up to me tomorrow. I'm just sad that I can't spend a night with him today." "Huh?" This time, Alora was the one who frowned. Usually, men like these don't really care about the trophy. Most of them do not create any false hopes like, "I will make it up to you tomorrow." Then why is her lover doing something like this? Is it fun to break a woman's heart over and over again? Does he want her to keep up her hope and crush it every single day? A cold look appeared on Alora's face when she thought about this. "Don't worry, I'll deal with him for you," Alora spoke in a cold voice. "Huh? What do you mean, Lady Alora?" Etta questioned in confusion. Alora then shook her head and sighed. "Etta, you are still too innocent. That bastard is just giving you false hope. People like them don't care about the woman once they've had their fun. But don't worry, I'm with you. I'll deal with that bastard no matter who he is." "Lady Alora, you got it wrong." Etta finally understood what she was talking about and shook her head. "Huh?" "Lady Alora, I am not a naive child. I know how to judge people. He is not like that. Then a smile appeared on Etta's face. "He is very gentle and caring. Also," then Etta blushed, "he is very good in bed." Allura blushed as well. She soon recalled their talk yesterday and started imagining things she shouldn't imagine. Don't worry, Lady Allura. He isn't that type of man. I can say that for sure. He didn't leave his other woman when I appeared. He treats them well and spends a lot of time with them just like he does with me. He's a good person, Etta smiled. A smile appeared on Allura's face when she saw the expression on Etta's face. Etta looked so innocent and beautiful right now. However, soon Allura kicked that thought out of her mind. And he is very good in bed. You don't have to repeat that again, Allura muttered, as she glanced at Etta with a dry look on her face. But I'm not lying. He is really good in bed, Etta repeated again, trying to tell her sister how good her future man is. She really wanted that reward. You get it. I get it. Don't make me jealous, Allura groaned. Huh? Jealous? Wait. Suddenly, Etta realized something, and her eyes widened. Then she brought her face close to Allura and questioned in a low voice, Is the king not good in bed? Is the king not good in bed? Etta questioned in a low voice. A wry smile appeared on Allura's face, and then she shook her head. Let's not talk about this. You tell me how it... Huh? Lady Allura, that's not fair, you know. I share so many things with you and you don't share anything with me. Am I just a source of entertainment for you? Suddenly, Etta questioned with a sad look on her face. No, it's not like that. Allura quickly shook her head. Initially, Etta was nothing more than a source of entertainment for Allura. However, for some reason, after that long talk between her and Etta yesterday, Allura felt that she was a little closer to Etta. She wasn't just a source of entertainment, she actually cared about Etta a little. Then why aren't you sharing anything with me? Don't worry, you can share whatever you want with me. I won't tell anyone else. Now tell me, is the king bad in bed? Does he have a small weapon? Etta questioned. Allura's face widened in surprise when she heard her question. She didn't expect Etta to be so perverted. Come on, Lady Allura, tell. Does the king have a small weapon? You are really daring, huh, Etta? Don't you know if the king learns what you were saying, you will be executed? Allura questioned. Aren't we the only two here? How will the king know about me? You won't out me, will you, Lady Allura? Etta questioned back. Walls have ears, you know, especially walls of the royal palace, Allura smiled as she pointed toward the walls. However, rather than a panicked expression that Allura thought Etta would show, a small smile appeared on Allura's face as she muttered, Heh, don't worry, Lady Allura, my lover will save me if something happens. Allura raised her eyebrow and questioned, You think he can save you from the king of this kingdom? He can do anything, Lady Allura. With him around me, I do not fear anything. Etta's smile then widened and she continued. So, Lady Allura, do not worry about my security. Just tell me the truth. Is the king's weapon too small? A sad smile appeared on Allura's face as she shook her head. I hoped that was the case. At least it would be better than my current situation. Actually, she has been hiding this for a long while and didn't dare to say anything out loud. However, now that Etta, who took interest in this topic and asked without fearing anything, Allura thought about something as well. If even the head maid isn't scared, then why should she be? She needed to share her miseries as well. What does that mean? Etta questioned. She got a feeling that she was going to learn something important. Outwardly, the king may seem an average king, not too good, not too bad. However, don't you think he is too normal? Allura questioned. Huh? Etta frowned. An average king. Everyone calls him that. Not too good, not too bad. This was like a catchphrase used to describe the king of the Skyfall Kingdom. Don't you think he is too normal? Etta thought about this question. Soon, however, she shook her head. I never thought about the king too deeply, Lady Allura. That is understandable. Allura nodded and then continued. There is a reason why everyone finds the king average, and that is because he doesn't really care about this kingdom and its affairs. Huh? Yes. He doesn't spend much time in affairs of the kingdoms. He just accepts whatever his subjects propose. Some decisions are good, some decisions are bad, therefore he comes out as average. But won't his subjects use this fact to their advantage and eventually control everything themselves? Why aren't they doing anything like that? Etta couldn't help but question. That I do not know. However, I have seen the king handling the official affairs once. He doesn't think and listen to anything. He just hears the solution the subjects came up with and agrees with it without even knowing the initial problem. The only thing he cares about is ending everything as soon as possible. But why is he always so eager to leave? What else does he do other than ruling the kingdom? A wry smile appeared on Allura's face and she answered. He is a trophy collector, or that's what he likes to call himself. A trophy collector? Etta frowned. Yes, a trophy collector. He likes collecting trophies, or in other words, he likes collecting women, Allura revealed with a dissatisfied look on her face. So he's a playboy? Etta questioned. He can be called a playboy, but he's a little strange. Why? Because once he has sex with a woman, he would never touch that woman again. This is also the reason why he only has 6 children, even though he has 4 wives, 50 concubines, and countless other women outside the royal palace. Only those who were lucky enough to bear a child gave birth to one. As for the rest, they were trophies, never touched or cared for again, Allura revealed and gritted her teeth in anger. Etta's eyes widened in surprise as well. People always wondered why the king only had 6 children. Now she knows the reason. Heh, what a bastard that king, Etta couldn't help but mutter. You really aren't scared of death, huh, Etta? Allura shook her head. However, a smile appeared on her face. She agreed with Etta. As I said, my lover would protect me. I am not scared, Etta answered. A sad smile appeared on Allura's face. You are lucky to have a lover like that, she muttered. Suddenly, a small smile appeared on Etta's face and she answered, Don't worry, Lady Allura. Soon you will find your happiness as well. Allura chuckled dryly. She knew Etta was just saying it for the sake of saying it. She didn't really mean it. Etta knew what she was thinking and shook her head. Then she noticed the sad look on Allura's face and decided to change the topic. The two of them started talking about another topic, then they talked about another topic, then another, and then a different one. They talked for the whole night, and then Etta excused herself. Nux, Nux, she called while she was walking in the corridor. She needed to deliver this good news. This is important. You have to know this.
A small smile appeared on Nux's face as he heard Etta's report.
How convenient, Nux muttered inwardly and smiled. Etta, you did a lovely job. Thank you very much. You are wrong if you think a thank you would cut it. Oh? Then how do I show you my appreciation, my perverted maid? Now that we know about it, my mission here is over, Etta muttered. Indeed, we don't have to worry about that thing anymore, Nux nodded. However, soon he understood why Etta was saying it right now. A big smile then appeared on Nux's face, and he questioned in a very gentle tone. How about I show you my appreciation with a long night session, my perverted maid? That would work, Etta agreed. Actually, she wanted to ask more and put her terms forward more clearly, but in front of Nux's gentle voice, she forgot about it and nodded. However, suddenly Nux muttered, What? We won't be spending this night in Felberta's or my new mansion. Why? Etta frowned in confusion. Nux then smiled wickedly and answered, Because what I am going to do with you shouldn't be seen by others. Etta, who was in her room, getting ready for work, paused and her body trembled. Images of her being tied up while Nux lay on of her body appeared on her mind and, Shit, I would need to change my panty, she muttered as she lowered her gaze and glanced at her little sister that had gone a little out of control. Make sure to bring a lot of panties and, no, actually, screw it. You won't be needing any clothes once we meet each other. However, just bring one to be on a safer side. Etta then heard Nux's voice and her face turned red. Sure. All right, then remember, you don't need to come to the mansion today. I will come and pick you up, okay? Yes, Etta nodded. Nux then broke the telepathic link between the two of them and a big smile appeared on Etta's face. Sister Allura, I didn't lie to you. He is indeed the best man you could ever wish for. Etta then walked towards her wardrobe and took out another pair of sexy black panties. She might not be able to focus on her work today. Well, not that she has been focusing on it for the last few days. On the other side, once Nux was done talking to Etta, he opened his eyes and looked around. However, Thyra was gone. Ah, fuck. I missed her reaction. Shit. Nux cried inwardly and shook his head. He then activated his sense and quickly found Thyra, who was inside the bathroom. A small smile appeared on Nux's face when he saw what she was doing. Cute, he muttered inwardly, activated his conceal and walked towards the bathroom. Naked, of course. A minute later, he walked into the bathroom and Thyra wasn't visible. He then walked towards the bathtub, and behind the bathtub, he saw a petite girl sitting with her head on her knees, unaware of a man standing behind her. Nux's smirk widened, and then he picked her up, stepped into the bathtub, and sat down. Thyra's body was amazingly light. For some reason, Nux really enjoyed picking her up. Huh? Thyra's eyes widened in shock when someone grabbed her from behind without her noticing. However, she soon realized who it was and didn't even try to resist. So, my cute assassin, what are you doing here? She then heard a voice and turned around. What are you doing here? She questioned. Yes, that is my question. You heard it right. I'm asking you, Thyra replied in anger. Oh, me? I was just here to spend some time with my cute assassin. But I don't want to spend a single minute with you. Also, what's with this my cute assassin? I'm not your assassin, Thyra retorted. Oh, then that didn't seem to be the case yesterday when you were moaning so loudly, Nux whispered into Thyra's ears. Thyra's face turned red as she recalled what happened last night. Soon she felt Nux tightening his hug around her, and then, phew! He blew hot air into her ear, and Thyra's body trembled as a weird jolt crawled all over her body. Nux then tightened his hug around her waist even more, crossed his legs with her, and whispered, Also, from now on, you are mine, my cute little assassin. Another jolt was sent into her body when she heard those words. Her heartbeat quickened, and at the same time, her face turned redder. Nux then turned a little and opened the tap. Cold water touched their warm bodies, and Thyra's back arched up again. However, that was not because of the water. There was another reason. She could feel something poking her butt. Ah, I apologize. Wait. She then heard Nux's voice. He picked her up, adjusted his little brother, and placed her back on his lap. Ugh, as expected, it feels good, Nux moaned in pleasure. Thyra's face turned even redder, and her little sister started reacting as well. Why? Because Nux's little brother was now between her two thighs, dangerously close to her little sister, and whenever his little brother was there, it never ended well. No, actually, it ended really well, since she felt a lot of pleasure as well. You are a pervert, Thyra muttered. Her voice was a lot tamer now. I am? Thyra nodded. I can't help it. You're just too beautiful, my cute assassin, Nux muttered as he placed his chin on Thyra's shoulder. A small smile appeared on Thyra's face. Now, shall we take a bath? Nux questioned. Together? Well, since we got dirty together, shouldn't we clean ourselves together as well? Nux questioned. Thyra thought about it a little and then nodded. That makes sense. Then a very long and blissful bathing session followed. After a blissful bathing session combined with another bathroom sex, Thyra and Nux finally left the bathroom with smiles on their faces.
The two of them then started wearing their clothes. Nux wore his normal robes, while Thyra wore her skin-tight assassin clothes.
Huh? What are you doing?
Nux questioned.
What?
Thyra frowned. Nux then walked towards Thyra and took away her mask.
I don't want you to wear your mask anymore. How am I supposed to admire your beauty if you do that?
Nux questioned with a sly smile on his face.
But I am an assassin.
You are my assassin, so you are not allowed to wear a mask, Nux whispered.
Whatever,
Thyra shrugged. She knew she wouldn't win against Nux in an argument anyway, so why try? She was a calm-headed assassin. She won't waste her energy like that. Nux smiled and nodded to himself. All right, now let's go and eat our breakfast.
Huh? Together?
Thyra questioned. We spent a night together, naked, then we bathed together, naked. What's the problem with eating breakfast together? Nux questioned. Thyra turned silent, and although she tried to hide it by lowering her head, Nux could clearly see her face had turned red. It's so fun to tease her, he thought inwardly and chuckled. Will Felberta, Skyla, Etta, and Lane be there? Thyra questioned. Of course they will be. Etta won't be there, though. She's in the royal palace. She didn't come here yesterday since someone else took her place, Nux replied with a small smile on his face. Thyra's face turned even redder, and she retorted, I did not take her place. You forced me. When did I say you took her place? I'm not dumb. I know what you're talking about. What do you mean? What am I talking about? Nux questioned with a smile. You... Thyra wanted to say it out loud, but was too embarrassed to do so. Shameless, she retorted. Nux laughed out loud. She's adorable and fun to tease. Ahem, and she's cute, Nux thought inwardly, and then he grabbed her hand. All right, let's go and eat. However, Thyra did not move. I won't have breakfast with you. I want to eat breakfast with other assassin friends. Nux then glanced at Thyra with a blank look on his face. He has seen and dealt with these assassins for days now, and he has noticed that other than basic respect for each other, they do not have any other feelings towards each other. They are not close at all. And of course, Thyra was the same. Nux then pulled her close to him and whispered, You are coming to eat with me, else I will eat you for breakfast. What do you mean, eat me? Thyra questioned. Nux smirked. He then lowered his eyes and glanced at Thyra's little sister before his smirk widened. Thyra, of course, quickly understood what he meant. All right, I need to eat with my assassin friends, she answered quickly as she tried to walk away. Nux chuckled inwardly and shook his head. He then picked her up and whispered, How perverted! What do you mean? Thyra acted ignorantly. Nux smiled and then he sealed her lips. Thyra's eyes widened in surprise. However, soon she closed her eyes and her tongue entered Nux's mouth. Yes, she was the first to attack. She was only shy when it comes to foreplay. Once it is time for the real thing, she was a lot more active than normal. Nux learned that yesterday night as well. Of course, he welcomed that with open arms. However, this time he needed to keep things short. After a 2-minute-long kiss, he moved his lips away and looked into Thyra's blue eyes. You're going to eat with me, right? He questioned in a very soft voice. Thyra nodded with a slight blush on her face. Nux smiled and then he gave her a small peck and placed her back on the floor. Should we leave then? Thyra nodded with a smile, and the two of them left the room. Oh ho, look at you two, acting like a couple after the first night, huh? Felberta commented as she glanced at Thyra and Nux. They're holding hands, how lewd! Skyla placed her hands on her face and laughed. Lane didn't say anything and just nodded. Of course, there were clear signs of jealousy on her face. She wanted to hold Nux's hand as well. Not that she has never done that before, but she still wanted to do it. Good morning, my lovely girls, Nux greeted with a big smile on his face.
"Good morning," the girls repeated. "Good morning, Sister Thyra." Skyla, of course, was the first to greet Thyra and waved her hand energetically. "Good morning." Thyra smiled and waved back. Although her movements were a bit stiff, she was still doing fine. Skyla then patted the chair next to her and smiled joyfully. "Sister Thyra, come sit here." Thyra nodded and then walked towards the chair Skyla pointed to. Nux walked behind her and sat on the chair next to Thyra. After the 5 of them were seated, Nux glanced at Felberta and smiled. "So, did you enjoy the show?" Felberta smiled back. She then glanced at Thyra and answered, "We did. We enjoyed it a lot." Skyla nodded with a playful smile, while Lane had a blush on her face. "Huh?" Thyra frowned. She realized that something was wrong when the 3 women glanced at her. "What show?" she questioned. "Sister Thyra, you peeked on us. You think we won't peek on you?" Thyra's eyes widened in surprise, and she turned towards Nux. "You knew it?" Nux nodded. "Why didn't you say anything then?" she questioned. Well, your insides felt too good. I didn't want to stop," Nux replied awkwardly and then laughed. Thyra's face turned red. "Don't worry, Sister Thyra. You don't have to be so shy. We only saw the part where you questioned, 'This is not the main thing?' and the next few hours after that." "So, where is Miss One?" 3 questioned with a frown as she glanced at Nux, who was standing right in front of her. She's busy," Nux answered. Busy? Miss One? Are you sure?" 3 questioned in confusion. Noticing her confused expression, Nux was quick to realize that there was a story behind this. Why are you so surprised?" Nux questioned. "Miss One loves sparring. When we were still in the kingdom, she used to spar with us every month. Obviously, as an assassin, we do not need many fighting techniques. What we practiced were killing techniques. Sneak attacks, lethal attacks, and attacking the neck, heart, crotch, and brain. Miss One used to see all of this and observes our weakness," 3 answered. "Oh, so she loves sparring, huh?" Nux muttered to himself. "She does. But she still chose to talk with Skyla and the others. Is this because Skyla talked to her so cheerfully? Is she trying to get along with others?" A smile appeared on Nux's face as he thought of that. "It's a good thing," Nux nodded to himself. "Well, she's busy right now, so only you 2 will be sparring with me. You are not scared, are you?" Nux teased. "Heh, we defeated you before. It won't be tough to defeat you again." 3 chuckled and dashed towards Nux, while 2 positioned himself to where Nux is going to appear after dodging 3's attack. Heh, Nux smiled, ready for today's training. "Sister Thyra, tell me, how was your first night with Nux?" Skyla questioned excitedly as she glanced at Thyra, was sitting beside her on a large bed. After breakfast, she pulled Thyra to have the talk with her. Of course, she brought Felberta and Lane along with her as well. No one shall be left alone. Hee hee. Did you guys not see the whole thing with your own eyes?" Thyra questioned with a frown. She did not want to discuss last night at all. Else she will get horny again. "Oh, come on, Sister Thyra. Although we watched everything, we didn't feel what you felt. Come on, don't be stingy. Share your experience with us," Skyla questioned. Her eyes practically had stars shining inside. Skyla did the same thing when she met Etta. When she met Etta for the first time, she excitedly asked her about her first night, and that day Skyla realized that she really enjoyed talking about the first night. Since that day, little Skyla has been going around asking everybody. First, she asked Felberta. Felberta, of course, nodded with a smile and shared anything without shame. Skyla was like her little sister after all. Then she moved and talked to Lane, and even though she was there when Lane spent her first night with her, she still asked about the time when she was gone. She then tried talking to other maids. However, Skyla soon realized that she doesn't like talking about the first night unless the man they are talking about is Nux. Therefore, she stopped talking with other maids.
From that day to this, Thyra was the first woman she could talk with, and she was really excited about this. It felt good," Thyra answered. "Huh? That's it? Sister Thyra, you have to be creative with these matters. Try explaining it in more detail." "What detail?" Thyra questioned. "Like how good it felt. What were you thinking about when he was about to put his penis inside your little sister? Did you feel the pain? Did you feel particularly good when he did something? Did you like it when he touched your breasts, or did you like it when he touched your butt? Also, how soon do you want to have another session with him?" Skyla then shot a series of questions, and Thyra opened her mouth in shock. "There she goes again," Felberta sighed as she shook her head and then glanced at Lane. "She is Skyla, so it is understandable," Lane muttered. "True, this girl is really a chatterbox, huh?" Felberta sighed. Of course, although it may look like they weren't interested, actually they were completely focused on the talk. They were curious as well. "Heh, look how red her face is," Felberta chuckled. "That is understandable. Anyone would blush after being questioned like that just after your first night. True, one has to remember the blissful night to answer Skyla's questions," Felberta chuckled. "Indeed," Lane nodded. As she recalled last night, Thyra's face turned red. She was really embarrassed to talk about her last night. However, seeing those starry eyes, Thyra was unable to reject Skyla. One by one, she started talking and answering every question Skyla questioned. "Huh? Ears? That's different from what I thought, to be honest. I like it when he kneads my butt. Of course, that doesn't mean I don't like it when he touches my breasts. That feels good as well. Talking about breasts, I learned a massage that could help increase your size. Do you want to try it?" "Huh?" Thyra, however, remained silent and glanced at Skyla. "What?" "It doesn't sound much convincing coming from you," Thyra answered. "What do you mean?" However, soon Skyla realized what Thyra was talking about. "Pfft." Finding the scene quite comical, Felberta laughed out loud. Skyla turned and glanced at Felberta's laughing face. She then turned towards Lane and saw the smile on her face as well. She understood that Sister Lane was trying to hide her laughter as well. "You are mean," she pointed at Thyra and blamed her. "I was only trying to help you because yours were small." Thyra's face twitched. "Mine are bigger than yours," she retorted. "No, mine are bigger." "Dream all you want." Skyla then turned to Felberta and questioned, "Sister Felberta, you tell us, who has bigger breasts, me or Sister Thyra?" "Does it even matter?" suddenly Felberta questioned. Skyla tilted her head in confusion. Thyra was looking forward to what Felberta was about to say as well. "Why compete? Does it even matter whose breasts are bigger amongst you two? In the end, you both have small breasts."
"I do not believe this. Let's spar again." 3 stood up in anger and pointed her wooden sword at Nux. From the bruises on her face, it looked like she didn't enjoy today's spar. "Nope, we won't be sparring anymore. I have things to do." Nux, however, shook his head. "Am I right to assume that you are scared? If that is the case, I can back down for you." 3 smirked, trying to use reverse psychology on Nux and hoping to get him to fight her. "That won't work on me," Nux smirked. "Tisk, tisk," 3 snorted. "3, that is enough. Learn to accept your defeat," 2 muttered. His face was bruised as well, however he seemed more calmed than 3. "2, how can you accept this so easily? Although we had Miss 1 with us yesterday and it was easier to defeat him, I don't believe we cannot defeat him with the 2 of us working together. He is only a master stage cultivator. We are grandmaster stage cultivators. How can we lose so easily?" 3 questioned out loud. 2 remained silent. Actually, he found it a little unusual too. Yesterday, although Nux was able to fight against 3 Grandmaster Stage cultivators, that was only because they were holding back. Today, although they did not have Thyra with them, they could still give him a decent fight and even defeat him. However, the results were a lot different than what he expected. They were defeated, and although it was not a crushing defeat, it wasn't a very tough and challenging fight either. He couldn't understand how it happened. Did he improve so much in a single day? What kind of progress is that? Tu questioned inwardly as he glanced at Nux with a frown on his face. Nux noticed his expression and could pretty much deduce what he was thinking. However, in the end, these two were just slaves. He didn't need to tell them anything. "All right, that will be enough. We will spar tomorrow. I have things to do. You two can return," Nux ordered. This time his tone wasn't playful, and Three understood the difference. Therefore, although dejected, she turned around and walked away. Two bowed and followed Three as well. Nux then stretched his body a little, and just as he was about to return, he heard a voice. "Master Nux!" Nux turned to the source of the sound and saw Alger running towards him. What happened?" Nux questioned. "Master Nux, here. I thought it was a little important, so I should share this with you," Alger muttered as he passed an envelope to Nux. Nux furrowed his brows. He took the envelope. He noticed that there was a little red mark on the edge. However, he ignored it and opened the envelope. Then he took out the letter inside it and started reading. "To my one and only love, Algerama. The bird did not fly out today. Maybe she didn't want to meet her lover? Did they fight? Was the bird feeling sad? What about the bird's lover? Was he sad? I do not know. However, what I do know is that I am broken-hearted since I have not met you for so long. I just keep looking at the bird, dreaming about the day when you and the bird will meet. Would you like that bird? Would you like how it chirps? Would you like her voice? Or would you like me more? I hope you will find the bird outside soon, because if it stays in her small cage, it will break my heart. You, of course, wouldn't be able to bear seeing me like that. It will hurt you as well. And when I think about you being in pain because of worrying about me, my heart shudders. Thus, I hope you find the bird soon. I hope you find her soon." After reading the whole letter, Nuxes glanced at Alger with a dead look on his face. What kind of shitty letter was that? Was the writer drunk? And why the hell are you sharing that cursed thing with me? Nux questioned. Alger panicked. "Master Nux, don't come to any conclusion so quickly. Please read the name of the sender." Nux frowned. However, he did as Alger told and read the sender's name. Edria Fox. Nux then narrowed his eyes. He had heard this name before. "It is Edria Fox, a sub-head maid of the royal palace," Alger revealed, and Nux's eyes widened in realization. Edria Fox, the bitch who eyes on Edda's Izishin. Wait. Soon, Nux realized something. "This is not a love letter, Master Nux. The bird she is talking about is Miss Edda. She is saying that Miss Edda didn't leave today. Maybe she had some fight with her lover, that is you. She is worried that Edda won't leave the palace a lot and wants me to deal with her as soon as possible." Nux's eyes widened in realization. That somehow makes sense. "Why is she sending this to you?" Nux questioned. "Well, we had a deal. I will, kill Miss Edda, obviously. Since she is the sub-head maid, she will become the new head maid. Then she would let me get close to the royal harem." Alger answered. However, with how his legs were trembling, anyone could tell he was scared. However, Nux didn't care. Alger has already got what he deserved. Plus, there is a much more important question in Nux's mind right now. Why do you want to get close to the royal harem? Because the kingdom of Scotty ordered me to. What does the kingdom want with the royal harem? Previously, he wasn't interested in world politics. However, now things were different. Plus, this directly affected Allura and Edda. Nux had to do something. At the very least, he should know what was going around. I do not know what the kingdom wants with the royal harem. However, I do have a theory in my mind. I do not know what the kingdom wants with the royal harem. However, I do have a theory in my mind, Alger answered. What is your theory? Nux questioned. However, inwardly he was surprised. He can think something through? What? Why didn't I know that? The Skyfall Kingdom is going through tough times right now, Master Nux, Alger muttered. Huh? But I heard that it was the strongest among the three kingdoms. Is that not the case? Nux frowned. It is as you say, Master Nux. However, Skyfall Kingdom is facing a critical period right now. Critical period? Yes, 20 years later, the king will abdicate his throne and one of his heirs will become the next king. Initially, it wasn't much of a problem since the crown prince practically had no competition. He was strong and had Duke Fulvianus supporting him from behind. However, in the last 50-60 years, the third prince's cultivation has increased by leaps and bounds. The third prince, who is 89 years old, is already at the peak of the Grand Master stage, which is similar to the first prince, who is 122 years old. Duke Marula, who was supporting the third prince, didn't fail to use this fact and started gaining support from other nobles. If the third prince is as strong as the first prince, even though he is 33 years younger than him, then doesn't that mean the potential the third prince has is a lot higher compared to the first prince? Won't the kingdom see unprecedented growth if it is under a genius like third prince? Words like these were spread around, and many nobles started supporting the third prince. This started the spark. It was not a rebellion, it was an appeal to make the third prince, Lovis Skyfall, the crown prince of the Skyfall Kingdom. The appeal, however, was rejected. But everything wasn't in vain. The first prince, Raguel Skyfall, lost the title of the crown prince. This added fuel to the fire. Since the crown prince position was now empty, the fourth prince, Evander Skyfall, who had the support of Duke Sentho, joined in as well. When it was noted that 3 out of 4 dukes supported the 3 princes, all eyes fell on Duke Vestalis, the remaining duke. Most of them thought of him as the breaking point. However, the duke declared his neutrality on the matter. The person he wanted to support, the second Princess Quiriana Spyfall, was not interested in the throne and didn't participate in this race. With this, the politics inside the Skyfall Kingdom is now revived with 3 major princes fighting with each other, each having a duke supporting them from behind. Since historical times, these were the times when most of the kingdoms fell. This is why I said that the Skyfall Kingdom is going through a critical period. As for why the kingdom of Skadi is interested in the royal harem, I assume that it is because they are trying to support a prince from behind the scenes as well. The 5th prince, Lucas Skyfall, should be their target. Since the man doesn't have any support from any major noble, he would be happy to have a kingdom supporting him from behind. I'm sure someone like him wouldn't mind being a puppet king. Of course, that is just my prediction. Alger reported. The more he spoke, the more Nux realized that this Alger might not be as useless as he initially thought. He knew a lot more than Felberta, that's for sure. Of course, that wasn't Felberta's fault either. She was a viscount. It is normal for a marquis like Alger to know more about the situation than a viscount like her. Finally, Nux shook his head and sighed. The situation was a lot more complicated than he initially thought. Everything within the kingdom was okay, however, he didn't expect the kingdom of Skadi to play it like this. Of course, as Alger said, it was just his prediction. What he said might be wrong. However, Nux had a feeling that he was right. Just the fact that the kingdom of Skadi controls 2 marquis' houses inside the Skyfall Kingdom tells that the kingdom of Skadi isn't simple. I was too naive. The way I think isn't broad enough. I'm unable to think about all the situations at the same time. I need to improve, Nux realized. Why wouldn't a kingdom use this golden chance to try and take over the other kingdom? This is the prime time to do whatever they wanted. They would be fools if they missed this chance. It's a perfectly logical move on their part. Now the question is, what should be my next move? Nux inwardly questioned and started thinking about the current problem more deeply. However, in the end, he shook his head and sighed. It was not the time yet. He needs to discuss everything with his girls. Only then could he come up with something. All right, I heard you. I'll think a little more about all this. You can go now. As for what to say to that maid, I'll tell you later." Nux turned towards Alger and instructed. "Yes." Alger nodded and left. Inwardly, Alger was happy. "Heh, I showed my worth. I hope I won't be treated badly from now on. I don't want to call Miss One every single day. Though she left me alive yesterday and acted a little different from before, I have this feeling that she will kill me if I keep calling her like that. Master Nux, please don't treat me badly from now on." This was all the Marquis wanted now, to live a normal, tension-free life. Nux didn't know what was going inside Alger's mind. His mind was already filled with other thoughts. In the end, he decided to meet Felberta. A small smile appeared on his face when he thought about it. Being serious did not suit him. He should spend time with his beloved women. He'll think about other things later. Hee. And then I returned from the part. Returned? That is such a weak word, Sister Felberta. You did not return from the party. You rushed back from the party. I still remember how the servants looked at you when you walked out of the carriage and started running towards your room. You looked so desperate that day, Sister Felberta. Skyla stopped Felberta midway and laughed out loud. She was still angry about when Felberta called her out on her breasts. She will have her revenge now. After Thyra was done sharing her story, the others girls started sharing theirs as well. Of course, Skyla, Lane, and Felberta already knew each other's stories, however, they still shared them. An enjoyable topic was never not enjoyable, no matter how many times you repeat it. Pfft! Thyra laughed out as she glanced at Felberta. Lane, who was the shyest one in the group, didn't say anything, but she was smiling as well. Sister Thyra, you have to know, back then, Lady Felberta was still a mortal. However, she was so desperate that day that she ran, and she ran so fast that we, who were advanced stage cultivators, were having a hard time catching up to her. Skyla laughed even more. Doesn't that just mean that you two were useless since you were unable to catch up with a mortal like me? Felberta questioned. Oh, come on, Sister Felberta. You know I don't mean it in a literal way. We could easily catch up to you since you were a mortal. What I was trying to tell was that you were so desperate that you didn't care about your image and ran towards your room so you could meet Nux. I even remember how you hugged him like a monkey as soon as you saw him. Skyla, however, didn't back down and teased even more. Lane, who was sitting right beside Skyla, nodded in agreement. Felberta's face twitched in annoyance, and she answered, So what if I was desperate? I was desperate for someone who belonged to me. Tch, at least I wasn't shameless enough to peek at a couple having Felberta paused. Initially, she wanted to talk about how Skyla and Lane were peeking at her and Nux having sex. However, she quickly realized that Thyra here also peeked at them. If she used the word peek, Thyra, Skyla, and Lane would be categorized into the same category, and that would be disadvantageous for her since she would become their target. If only Edda was here, Felberta sighed inwardly. Then she quickly changed what she was about to say and continued, At least I'm not shameless enough to spend my first night with the man I love and my sister. Since she can't target Skyla, she targeted Lane instead. Lane, who was now targeted, opened her eyes in surprise. What, did you spend your first night with Nux and your sister? Who was that sister? Thyra questioned in surprise. She didn't expect this serious-looking girl to be so perverted. Lane's face turned red, and Skyla, who was beside her, smiled slyly. I was that sister. She spent her first night with Nux, and I was there as well. Actually, Sister Lane should be thankful to me. If not for me, she would have remained a virgin for the rest of her life. No, even worse, she would have found a useless man for herself and would have married him. She would have been so sad. Skyla laughed again.
Her sister Lane was laughing when Felberta targeted her. I wouldn't leave her either. However, that was her mistake. Ha! All according to my plan. Felberta smiled slyly as she watched Skyla and Lane, especially Lane, whose face was now as red as a tomato. That is because I was not perverted enough to smell Lady Felberta's panty in the bathroom, Lane retorted with a red face, and Thyra's eyes widened in surprise. Thyra then turned toward Skyla and questioned, "What did you do?" Skyla blushed as well. She glared at Lane with an expression that said, "How could you?" However, Lane turned her head away. "You started it first." That was her reply. Indeed, indeed, our little Skyla here was found smelling my panty when she was washing them. How perverted, Felberta commented. Skyla lowered her head in shame. Wait, you really did that? Thyra questioned, and the more she questioned, the redder Skyla's face got. Felberta laughed out loud. Lane was smiling as well. That was... Huh? Why are you girls bullying my cute little Skyla? Suddenly, Skyla heard a voice and her eyes brightened. She then quickly turned around, and soon a big smile appeared on her face as she dashed towards the voice. "Nux!" she shouted. Nux hugged her petite body gently and patted her head. Don't worry, no one will bully you. I'm here." Skyla nodded as she snuggled into his chest and closed her eyes. You are late, so you don't know what happened. We weren't bullying her. Instead, that little demon was the one who was bullying us. We were just getting back at her." Lane nodded, and although Thyra didn't nod, she now knew that Skyla wasn't as innocent as she looked. "Sister Felberta said I have small breasts," Skyla complained. Nux frowned. Then he moved his hand to Skyla's right breast and started rubbing it gently. "Huh? How are they small? Don't they have the perfect size?" he questioned in confusion. "Yes, they fit your hand perfectly. They are perfect," Skyla muttered, and Nux nodded in agreement. "It is Sister Felberta and Sister Lane who have unnecessarily large breasts," Skyla continued. However, this time Nux did not nod. He didn't have a death wish. "Oh!" Hearing Skyla, a small, sly smile appeared on Felberta's face. "Say, my darling Nux," Felberta called. "Yes, what is it, my dear Fel? What type of breasts do you prefer? The ones that fits your hand perfectly, or the ones that are unnecessarily large?"